On this day, 10 years ago, Halo 5 Guardians was released for the Xbox One. 4 months later, a new jump course was born.
Welcome to the inaugural tournament of Spartan Sasuke.
Throughout the course of nearly 7 years, 22 Spartan Sasuke tournaments were held on Halo 5, with 1,300 attempts made at the course. Today, we return to these old courses in this special event to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Halo 5's release. 24 Spartans will be pitted against each other in this bracket-style tournament. By the end of it all, one Spartan will emerge victorious to become the Guardian Cup champion and earn number 100 in the run order for the next Spartan Sasuke tournament on Halo Infinite. Who has what it takes to stand above all, and who will fall short of the grand prize? We're about to find out. This is the Spartan Sasuke Guardian Cup. Hello everyone and welcome to the Spartan Sasuke Guardian Cup. I am your host RPG445 and we've got an exciting event in store for you. 24 Spartans have answered the call to return to Halo 5 for this epic showdown. Among this field of 24 includes some of Spartan Sasuke's top competitors such as Smokey Massacre, Fireball, Hunter Unit 751, Joey Davis, Pedro Man, and many more. This field also includes 2 competitors who made their Spartan Sasuke debut on Halo Infinite, as well as the first Grand Champion Double Ump who we haven't seen in 2.5 years. Before we meet the rest of the competitors, let's go over the rules of the Guardian Cup so that we're all on the same page. The Guardian Cup is a 24-player single elimination bracket tournament. Each match will be held on the first 3 stages of a randomly selected tournament of Spartan Sasuke's past. And note that tournaments cannot be selected more than once. Competitors will earn 1 point for every obstacle they complete, and time limits are disabled, meaning our competitors will only get 3 attempts per warped wall or variant. Should there be a tie after 3 stages are completed, the tiebreaker will be determined by a head-to-head spider climb race. The final round will be held on this specially built head-to-head final stage tower that you see before me. Seeding for the Guardian Cup has been determined by the results of the first 5 tournaments on Halo Infinite, and the top 8 seeds get a round 1 bye. Seeding was calculated under 3 categories: obstacle points, with 1 point for every obstacle completed on Infinite, stage points with 5 points for every stage 1 fail, 10 points for a stage 2 fail, 15 for stage 3, 20 for stage 4, and 25 for a total victory. And finally, the top 10 bonus with 10 points for a first place finish, 9 points for second, 8 for third, so on and so forth. Note that competitors that missed tournaments on Infinite are more likely to have a lower seed. So, without further ado, let's have a look at our Guardian Cup bracket. As stated earlier, the top 8 seeds have a round 1 bye, so we will see the 9th through 24th seeds face each other here in the first round. The 24th seeded Super Ninja J2 will face the 9th seeded Halo fan. Then the 23rd seeded Wild Sasuke will face the 10th seeded Mighty Max, and this pattern continues throughout the rest of round 1. The 8 Spartans that survive round 1 will move on to face the top-seeded competitors in round 2. The first-seeded Smokey Massacre will face the lowest remaining seed. The second-seeded Joey Davis faces the second lowest remaining seed, so on so forth. So, with all that said, let's kick off the action and begin round 1. Here we go with the first matchup of the Guardian Cup. We have Super Ninja into the 24th seed, going up against Halo Fan, the 9th seed. They'll be fighting on Tournament 21. So let's see how the first battle of the Guardian Cup unfolds. There are 7 points for grabs here on the first stage of Tournament 21 as Super Ninja J2 gets through the diving planks and onto the X Bridge. Super Ninja J actually beat this stage 1 in the actual tournament, so he should be right at home here on this tournament as he advances onto the rolling hurdle. Roll the ball and then jump over the hurdle. Super Ninja Jake gets to jump nicely as he approaches the jumping spider. This is always a tough obstacle. This is going to be an important obstacle for our competitors here in the Guardian Cup since it's in most of these tournaments. But Super Ninja J2 is going to get through the jumping spider and onto the captain's swing. Gotta swing this giant wheel, get from one to another, and then make the big drop down to the dismount. Almost comes up short, but he gets a safe jump. And just 2 obstacles left here on stage 1. He is on to the pit stop. There is no time limit, so he's going to take these jumps very cautiously. Getting a safe jump on each one, looking into the 4th one. Super Ninja Jake using the tires to get that safe jump and then landing on the cones. And now just 1 obstacle left for Jake. The warp wall, he's got 3 attempts to make it up, but he only needs 1, and that is all 7 points available here on stage 1 for Super Ninja Jake. Let's see how Halo Fan, his opponent, see how he does. Onto the diving planks, he is also going to go for the left side. Halo Fan nicely through the first obstacle, looking into the X Bridge. Halo Fan did not compete in this tournament as his Spartan Sasuke debut would come in the following tournament, Tournament 22. But right now, Halo Fan, can he get through the rolling hurdle? Ooh, a very close call there on the rolling hurdle, but he barely makes it over the hurdle. Now for the jumping spider. He goes for it. Oh, but he crouches into the trampoline. That is not what you want to do on that obstacle. But let's take a look at the rolling hurdle again. See how close he came to getting disqualified. If his feet actually touched the hurdle, he would have been disqualified, but he barely gets over it. But now Super Ninja Jake onto the second stage as he weaves his way through the surf slider and onto the drop salmon ladder. 5 bars going up and then a massive drop down to the 6th bar. Looking into the 4th bar, 5th bar, he's got it. Super Ninja Jake almost comes up short of that drop, but gets a nice safe jump. And now looking into the wind chimes. Gonna take his time setting up here on the first chime. Second, he's gonna speed it up going into the 3rd. Gets another safe jump. Super Ninja Jake, another point as he gets through the wind chimes. And now for the double compressor. Super Ninja Jake comes up short of the first compressor. He will only get 3 points here on the second stage. So this could present a chance for Halo Fan to make up some ground if he can make it far here on the second stage with 6 points up for grabs. He won't be able to pass him here on stage 2, but if he can complete this stage, it could be huge going into stage 3. Halo Fan got a bit of catch-up work to do, but another guy that almost comes up short of that drop. It is a tough jump, but Halo Fan makes it through. Taking his time here on the wind chimes. Second one, he's going to safe jump again, going for the double safe jump just to make sure he gets it. 3rd chime, looking into the 4th chime. He's in a safe jump here as well before he goes for the dismount. But can he get through the double compressor? Unlike Super Ninja Jake, Halo Fan also comes up short of the first compressor, and it is still a 4-point gap going into stage 3. Super Ninja J2 onto the rolling dice. We're going to speed up the footage here because this obstacle takes a long time to complete. So, Super Ninja Jake on the rolling dice, getting close to the end of the track. He's getting very close, and he goes for the dismount. Now for the swing edge. This obstacle was introduced here in Tournament 21. They get a little bit more time before going for that second swing. You want to full send going into the 3rd one. Oh my goodness! his momentum got cut off. I thought he was gonna come up short of that dismount for sure, but he makes it onto the curtain clean Kai. He's got 5 corner jumps he's got to make it through. This obstacle a lot tougher here on Halo 5. If we were to be put on something like Halo Infinite, probably be a lot easier, but given that game's physics. But we're on the old game as Super Ninja J2 advances to the Lunatic Cliffhanger. He's got 6 ledges to make it through. These are very tough ledges he's got to get through. He's shooting the crowd. Now, if he could beat this and the next obstacle, the Cubic Chaos, he will have closed the match here and there. So if he can make it far enough, he can close the deal. And Halo Fan will not be running the stage. But let's see how Jake does. He's gonna come up short of the first 90-degree jump. That is a very tough ledge. But now Halo Fan on the rolling dice. He's going to dismount from the obstacle onto the swing edge. Halo Fan's got to make it very far here on this stage if he wants to at least ensure a tiebreaker. He has to beat the Devil Swing for the tiebreaker, and if he wants to win, he pretty much has to beat the entire stage. So a long road ahead for Halo Fan. He almost overshoots that third one, but he gets plenty of momentum for that dismount onto the curtain clean Kai. He's taking his time punching the curtain. It looks like he's worried about this obstacle. Not a very good sign for Halo Fan. He does get the first corner jump with a safe jump. Onto the second one. Ooh, a little bit of a mess up there, but he's able to recover. Second corner jump. He gets it now. Looking into the third one. He's shooting his pistol. Come on, man. You gotta focus. And he's not gonna make it. And Super Ninja J2 wins and advances to round 2. And now we have our next matchup. We have the 23rd seeded Wild Sasuke going up against the 10th seeded Mighty Max on Tournament 7. 10 points up for grabs here on Stage 1 of Tournament 7. A much older tournament. This is the tournament where Mighty Max made his debut on Spartan Sasuke. So hopefully Mighty Max will feel at home here on these old obstacles. Right now, Wild Sasuke, a much newer competitor on the altering steps, looking into that 4th step. Wild Sasuke is gonna get the dismount, and he'll approach the circle hammer. Gonna take his time, lining up for that head slide. You want to take it nice and slow, but Wild Sasuke's gonna go too fast and hits the kill barrier. If you go too fast, you risk falling off the head slide like that, so you really gotta control your speed. Let's see if Mighty Max can improve on that result and get more points. If Mighty Max can get far, it could be huge for him with 10 obstacles here on this first stage. But now he's got the circle hammer in front of him. He's taking it much slower compared to Wild Sasuke. This is the way you want to do the circle hammer. You want to take it nice and slow, nice and easy. Mighty Max probably starts speeding up here towards the end. And he gets through the second obstacle. Takes the man cannon as he runs to the log grip. To the head slide. Can he get onto the log? Gets the sprint for the dismount. And now for the jumping spider. Mighty Max. He failed this obstacle back in Tournament 8. But can he get through it here? No, he cannot. He is going to come up short of the first ledge. He jumped a little too early into that bouncer. Got to get that timing just right. Now Wild Sasuke on the tilting slider of Stage 2. And he barely gets enough momentum to make it up into that second head slide. Now for the double salmon ladder. He's got 8 ledges to get through. 4 on the first set, 4 on the second. It's another first one. Second one, he's doing pretty okay here on this first set at least. Can he make it across to the second set? He makes it across to the second set nicely. 6th ledge, 7th ledge, 8th ledge. He's just gotta make it up. Ooh, he's a little confused on where he's supposed to go. Oh, but he misses the jump up and he falls all the way down to the bottom. That is very unfortunate, and he will not be getting the points for that obstacle. Mighty Max, let's see if he can make it through the double salmon ladder. going much more quickly into that. Now you gotta be careful not to touch the ground here. If you touch the ground, you are out. But Mighty Max is going to avoid that. He slips going into the 4th ledge, gets a safe jump on the 3rd, and he does eventually make it up to the 4th ledge. He's gonna jump up and across and makes it onto that 5th ledge. Facing forward, going into the 7th, 8th ledge. Now he has to jump onto the bar for the point to count. And Mighty Max get onto the bar. Yes, he can. Gets a safe jump as he looks into the doorknob grasper. 5 doorknobs he's got to make it through. Safe jumps up first. Mighty Max. 2nd doorknob, nicely onto that. Doing another safe jump, just for safe measures. Looking into the 3rd doorknob is going to go straight into the 4th and the 5th. And Mighty Max is going to extend his lead as he approaches the skywalk. He's going to stick that wall. It is not the easiest ledge to stick, and he's going to eventually safe jump it. And Mighty Max looks into the curtain clean, the original curtain clean that we had on stage 2. Mighty Max can't make it. He's gonna come up short. But he does have a 5-point lead going into stage 3, which means Wild Sasuke has to at least make it past the jumping bars just to even keep himself alive. So, got a long way ahead, and he messes up the safe jump, and Mighty Max takes the win. On to the next match with Sato Cyan, the 22nd seed, going up against the 11th seeded Atlantic champ. We'll be going on Tournament 9. See how they do. Sato is one of 2 competitors here on the Guardian Cup that has never competed in a Halo 5 tournament. As he made his Spartan Sasuke debut in Tournament 24, he's going to push that ball ahead and then jump onto it. And Cyan makes it through the Gunslinger and onto the swing bridge. 3rd ball, 4th ball, this is a tough obstacle, but Cyan makes it through onto the Jumping Kai. Only 7 obstacles here on this stage 1, but Cyan doing pretty good here on Tournament 9 stage 1. Now for the double warp wall. It is 3 attempts per wall, so you get 3 attempts at the first wall and 3 attempts at the second. He's gonna fail the second wall on his first try. He's got 2 more chances to make it up. Cyan punching the ground. He's giving himself a huge run-up. Not the best strategy for these Halo 5 warp walls. You typically want to start your sprint much later, and he does not make it up on the second go. One last try for Cyan here on the double warp wall. Can he make it work? Cyan, no, he cannot. He's failed the double warp wall. Now, Atlantic Champ gets his turn. Atlantic Champ makes it through the long jump and onto the Gunslinger. He's gonna get onto the ball. And he's gonna roll it down the track and into the tube. Atlantic Champ. Now for the swing bridge. Onto the 2nd, 3rd, 4th Atlantic Champ onto the Jumping Kai, the obstacle he failed in the actual tournament. So let's see if he can make it through it today. Avenge his old failure. He's gonna go for the right side. Gets a safe jump on the 2nd ledge. 3rd ledge, nicely through. And now for the double warp wall. This first wall is the height of the Tournament 2 warp wall, and the second one is much taller. Atlantic Champ does make it up both walls in one. And now for the giant swing, another obstacle he's failed in the past. Can Atlantic Champ keep his balance here on the swing? Yes, he can, and he gets the dismount onto the vertical plank. Gotta make it around these jumps onto the 4th one, 5th one, and Atlantic Champ makes it through stage 1. All 7 points. Well done, Atlantic Champ. Now we move on to stage 2. Sato Cyan doing a 360 here on the downhill jump. And now for the swap salmon ladder. He's doing a weird approach here where he's running into the wall, using a lot of those infinite techniques. I don't know if it's gonna really work as well here. It is so far as he looks into the 5th ledge, but he is gonna come up short of that. And he is not gonna make it up the swap salmon ladder. Atlantic Champ gets to the downhill jump, and he make it up the swap salmon ladder. And as you make it up each ledge, the one before goes into the wall to prevent yourself from saving yourself on a lower ledge. The Lane Champ is going to make it through with a much better technique. Now gets into the mongoose for the escape launch. Gets onto that platform. Now for the spider walk. Lane Champ going quickly into the third ledge. Gonna get a safe jump here. Lane Champ gets onto that fourth ledge. And these ledges get more difficult the further you progress. These get much smaller, and the last one is just a tiny little bar. As Lane Champ dives down into the backstream. And he make it through. This is back when it was the bouncer version. He's going to go straight for the fifth one, and he has a little too much momentum. And he's not going to make it through the backstream. Now Cyan with a bit of work to do here on stage 3. He's got to make it past the vertical limit to keep himself alive. The vertical limit is the 6th obstacle here on this stage. Cyan onto the third window. Pretty good here on the drum hopper. One more window left to go for Cyan. Gets onto that 5th window. Sato Cyan. On now to the mongoose paddler. He is teabagging in celebration. He was a little worried about that drum hopper. Ooh, almost a mistake there as he jumps out of the mongoose. Probably could have pressed his jump button to switch seats, but he is now onto the mongoose paddler. Taking it nice and slow here, trying to keep his balance. It is pretty easy to lose your balance here, so you really gotta make it count. And he's gonna make it to the upper side. And taking his time here. Wasted a bit of time shooting that mongoose. I know there's no time limit, but he's really dragging it on here, shall we say. Now he approaches the devil's steps. There are 12 skulls going up and 6 going down. Looking into the third skull. Gets a safe jump. Looking into the 4th skull. Nicely done. Oh, but he hits his head going into the 5th skull, and Atlantic Champ takes the win. Atlantic. Now we have a couple of older competitors. We have the first grand champion, Ump Double Ump, going up against Weapon Match on Tournament 17. Both these competitors competed in Tournament 17. Ump Double Ump is the first grand champion of Spartan Sasuke, having achieved total victory in Tournament 4. He has a much lower seed here in the Guardian Cup due to missing 4 tournaments on Halo Infinite. I think if he had competed much more frequently, he would have had a much higher seed here for the Guardian Cup. But in the one tournament that he did compete on Infinite, he did make it all the way to the 3rd stage. Let's see how he does here in the Guardian Cup. He is on to the Magic Bridge. Taking nice and slow, going into the dismount, but Ump comes up short. He did not have enough momentum to make it across the Magic Bridge. And an early exit for Ump here on the 1st stage, which could present a big chance for Weapon Matable to pull ahead early. Weapon Mat through the solar steps and onto the Pokeball. Weapon Mat made it to the vehicle swing in the actual tournament. This was at the time a retirement run for Weapon Mat before he made his return in Tournament 19. Now Weapon Mat looking into the Magic Bridge that Ump just failed. He's going to go much more quickly, and he does have the momentum necessary to reach the jumping spider. Weapon Mat, can he get onto the 1st ledge? No, he cannot. He's gonna come up short of the 1st ledge. Now Ump Double Ump onto the slider jump. On slider drop, sorry. I don't think I've ever actually had the slider jump on this course. But anyways, Ump Double Ump ties it up as he goes into the double salmon ladder. Now, there are 4 bars going up on this 1st set. It's very similar to the old one, except this is the newer style of salmon ladders that was introduced in Tournament 11. He's at the top of the 1st set, looking across to the 2nd set. Gets nicely onto that 5th bar. Ump Double Ump. Gonna try to engage his spring jumps here as he makes it up the rest of the bars. Now he has to make it onto that bar further ahead in order to get the point for the double salmon ladder. So he has to land this jump here to get the point for the double salmon ladder, which he does not. He is going to overshoot it, and he's gonna miss out on some very crucial points. Weapon mat through the slider drop, and now for the double salmon ladder, Weapon mat has taken the lead back, but can he extend his lead here on the second stage? Weapon mat taking his time here on the first bar, looking into the second bar. He's gonna miss it, but it looks like he's also going to spring it like He's gonna slip down to the second bar. A little bit of struggles here on the double salmon ladder, but he does eventually make it up the first set. Weapon mat nicely onto the second set as he looks into the sixth bar. Gets the spring there, gets the spring into the seventh and the eighth. Weapon mat, can he make it onto the final bar to get the point for the double salmon ladder? Yes, he will, and he will move on to the Delta Bridge. There are 4 ledges he's got to make it through. Matt looking into the second ledge now. Taking this time here on the Delta Bridge. Gets a safe jump on the second one. Obviously, if this was an actual tournament with the time limits, he'd want to go much quicker than this. But he's going to take it nice and easy as he extends his lead. Weapon mat now for the rolling maze. Nice camera work, by the way. Gotta say so myself. Totally not sarcasm. Anyways, weapon mat onto the rolling maze. This is a pretty unique obstacle. It's a rolling obstacle, but you gotta dodge these walls as you progress through. He's shooting it. You want to punch it to get it moving. And it's not moved at all with that first punch. He's gonna have to punch it again. Weapon mat's a little confused, but it's going now. It's now time to ride the rolling maze as it goes down the track. Gotta go all the way back here on the fourth wall, and then to the other side on the fifth wall. Ooh, a little hanging back there, and Weapon mat misses the dismount, and he's only up to 6 points. Double ump, now onto the hinge. Has to at least reach the lunatic cliffhanger to keep himself alive here on the third stage. Double ump looking into that fourth ledge. This obstacle kind of similar to the lunatic cliffhanger. This is good practice for that obstacle. Now looking for the dismount of the hinge. Gets a safe jump, but he slips off the other side, and Weapon mat will defeat the first champion on Tournament 17. Now on Tournament 8, we have Galactic going up against Crown Ferret's 19. Neither of these competitors actually competed in Tournament 8. Galactic made his debut in Tournament 21, whilst Crown Ferret 19 here made his debut in Tournament 14. But Irish makes it through the hazard bar and looking into the ring cross. He's got to get onto the second ring. He's there. Crown Ferret going for the dismount, which he gets nicely. Irish now onto the jumping spider. Major test here for Irish. Can he get the timing just right? He gets onto the first ledge nicely. Looking into the second ledge, he's got it. Third ledge. Fourth ledge. It's a tough jump, and Irish comes up short of the fourth ledge. Tough break for Irish. 3 points here on stage 1. Galactic through the flying magnet. Pretty unique first obstacle there. Now Galactic looking down the dismount of the hazard bar, which he's gotten nicely. That obstacle was pretty deadly in the actual tournament, taking out 19 of the 48 people that attempted it. Right now, Galactic onto the ring cross, taking his time for the second one. Oh, but he goes a little too far going into that second one, and Galactic not able to get through the ring cross. And now, Crown Ferret 19 onto the inclining dominoes. There are 8 dominoes and then a head slide he's gotta get through. Now, Irish was struggling with this obstacle a little bit in practice, so let's see if he can make it through when it matters most. Looking into the 6th domino, he's gonna get way too much momentum. Going to that 6th domino, he is not used to the precision mechanics of Halo 5. A lot of precision required to get through this obstacle. And Galactic, let's see if he can take advantage of Irish's blunder. Gets a safe jump on the 8th domino. Into the head slide, and Galactic's going to tie it up as he approaches the double salmon ladder. I am Galactic. See how he handles this obstacle. Looking into the first ledge. He's gonna miss it. Oh, but he gets pushed out and he touches the ground. Galactic out on the double salmon ladder. And we are tied going into stage 3. Irish now onto the roulette ball. Ground Ferret has an obstacle very similar to this on his own course, so he should be right at home here on the roulette ball, despite having not competed in this tournament. Ground Ferret 19 getting close to the end of the roulette ball. Nicely through and on to the cycle road. There are 4 cycles he's got to make it through. He's got a corner jump around the pole on each of these. Not the easiest jumps in the world, but Ground Ferrets, let's see if he can make it through each one. Gotta make it up to the second cycle. Gets up. Can he get this second corner jump? Irish, yes he can. Looking into the third one. Gets that one nicely. Looking into the corner jump. Nice and smooth. Looking into the 4th cycle. Now this last corner jump is optional as he can make the dismount from there, but he is going to take that corner jump nevertheless. Ground Ferret up to 5 points as he reaches the rocket bar sky. It's one of the tougher obstacles on this stage. This is where Hunter failed in Tournament 8. But can Ground Ferret get through it? No, he cannot. He swings wide here on the first rocket. Now Galactic has to at least make it that far to tie it up. Galactic. Ooh, it's going away, and he touches the ground. Irish takes the win here on Tournament 8. Now, on to Tournament 11, we have Bubba Ace, the host of Ninja Warrior of Roblox, going up against Snos.
Fight on!
They're going on Tournament 11. Both these competitors are big fan favorites. Snos gets a safe jump on the first step of the dome steps. Oh, almost overshoots it. This is not the easiest first obstacle here on Spartan Sasuke, as 18 competitors failed it in the actual tournament, which at the time was a record for 1.1. But now Snos through the first obstacle as he rolls the ball here on the gunslinger. Snos did fail this obstacle in the past, but can he get through it today? Snos, it is picking up speed, but Snos makes it onto the swing bridge. Snos gonna jump up short of the first ball. Needed a little bit of a later jump than that to make it through. Let's see how Bubba Ace does. Bubba Ace, I want to say he failed the swing bridge in the actual tournament. I could be wrong, but Bubba Ace, pretty sure he did beat the dome steps in the actual tournament. But can he get through it again here today? Bubba Ace. Oh, just a weird safe jump there, and he's not going to be able to recover. He did not commit for that dismount. And Snos does make it through the downhill jump and onto the salmon ladder. 7 bars going up. This is a pretty tricky salmon ladder. This was the tournament that introduced this style of salmon ladder, so Snos is going to take it nice and slow, using the wall on the right to really gauge where he's at in relation to the bar. Up to that 6th bar, got 1 more left to go. And pretty smooth here on the salmon ladder for Snos, taking his time going into the wingnut. And he gets onto the first wingnut. He's got to swing his first one a little bit to get onto the second one. Doesn't need a huge swing, but he's going to give it a bit of an extra swing just to make sure that he can make this big jump. And Snos gonna take a little bit more of a swing. Now, if this was the actual tournament, you'd be wanting to go much quicker than that. But Snos, ooh, almost slips off the side, but gets a nice safe jump. Now for the spider walk. Snos overshoots the first ledge. and only gets 3 points here on stage 2. And now Bubba Ace on the salmon ladder, looking into that 7th bar. Bubba Ace, he was struggling quite a bit with the salmon ladder. He spent 2 minutes on this obstacle, so we cut out most of it just to save some time. But right now, Bubba Ace does make it up the salmon ladder as he gets the first wing nut swinging. Bubba Ace, he can probably make it here on the second swing, which he does. Bubba Ace looking for the dismount. He's gonna swing it forward just a little bit more before he goes for that dismount, which he makes. Bubba Ace, can he make it through the spider walk? Unlike Snos, he's analyzing the jump, taking his time, seeing how much momentum he needs. Now you do want a full sprint going into this first ledge, but you gotta time it just right, because if you jump too late, like Snos did, you're gonna overshoot it. But Bubba Ace is gonna jump too early, unlike Snos. Tough break for both of them on the spider walk. But now Snos here on the drum hopper into the 3rd window. 4th window. You want to get as close to the end of the windows as much as you can to make each one. It makes the jumps much easier. Now for the flying shelf grab. This is a pretty tough obstacle. You gotta like jump around the wall, and Snos is gonna lose his momentum going into the second shelf. It's not the easiest obstacle in the world, like I said. But now Bubba Ace here on the drum hopper, taking his time going into the second one. Gets it. Bubba Ace now looking into the 3rd window. Bubba Ace getting close to the end of the second one. Goes for the 3rd one, and he doesn't quite have enough momentum to make it onto the 3rd one. And Snos will take the win. Now we move on to the infamous Tournament 15 with Spartan Walnut, the 18th seed, going up against the 15th seeded Avows the Samurai. This is the infamous Tournament 15 that no one beat stage 1 in. Not a single competitor beat this stage. Maybe Walnut or Avows can beat this stage 1, who knows? But let's see how they do. Walnut did compete in this tournament, whereas Avows made his debut later on in Tournament 19. Walnut makes it through the ledge leap as he goes for the vertigo. Nicely through, and now for the fishbone. Onto the fishbone, these poles move back and forth. He's got to get the timing just right as he gets onto the first peg. Nicely done, gets a safe jump. And you want to jump roughly around when the moving poles hit the middle. That's about when you want to go for the next peg. Right now, Walnut onto the 4th peg nicely as he approaches the Dragon Glider. This is a pretty tough one. He's got to get the timing just right. Gets into the first one. Second one. Walnut does make it through the Dragon Glider and onto the infamous rolling jump. This is a very infamous obstacle that took out a lot of top competitors. Only 2 people even got through it in the actual tournament. Those 2 being Long Shot Arrow and Double Ump. Walnut taking a lot of time before entering the ball. This is a 15-degree angle track, so you really want to stay as close to the front of the ball as you can to really control that speed, but you got to make sure you have enough momentum to reach the cargo net, which Walnut does not. He jumps a little too early going into that cargo net, and that's the jump that so many people struggled with. That was the infamous jump that ended the dreams of a lot of competitors. But Avows makes it through Piston Road as he takes the safe jump on Ledge Leap. Makes it through that and onto the Vertigo. This obstacle was forged by DHG Fireball and was introduced to Spartan Sasuke in Tournament 14 as part of an obstacle design challenge. Fireball's Vertigo was the winner of that. But Avows is gonna go out on the Vertigo. And now we get to see the second stage of Tournament 15 for the very first time. The very first attempt at this stage. It's pretty much identical to the stage 2 that we had in Tournament 14. 8 obstacles up for grabs. The up section of the salmon ladder and the down section, they are considered 2 separate obstacles. back then, so we're going to count it as 2 separate obstacles here for the Guardian Cup. There are 5 bars going up here on the Salmon Ladder Nobori, and then the Salmon Ladder Kudari has 4 bars going down. Walnut makes it up, and the bars on the Kudari will not spawn until you reach the first bar of the Salmon Ladder Kudari. Walnut taking a lot of time before going for the Kudari. He gets the point. Now has to hit all 4 bars going down here. Taking his time. Gets onto it, but oh, he's not able to get the safe jump he needed, and he's going to slip off on the Salmon Ladder Kudari. Pretty good Salmon Ladder variant, but Avows is going to fail the very first obstacle, and no points for Avows on stage 2. Tough break for Avows. But now, Walnut with a chance to close it out here on stage 3. If he can make it through the cliffhanger, he will close it out, but he fails the very first obstacle. And now Avows has to make it through the vertical limit to tie it up, and he's gonna full send it. What are you doing, Avows? You do not want to full send that obstacle. Very early exits there as Walnut takes the win. And now, the final match of round 1, we have Goat Tanks going up against Spinny on Tournament 18. Both of these competitors have competed many times on Spartan Sasuke. However, they both have the longest stage 1 droughts without a single clear. Goat Tanks has a slightly longer drought, having competed in one more tournament than Spinny. But now, Goat Tanks on the Pokeball. Taking this time here. Gets onto the Pokeball nicely. Goat Tanks onto the TIE Fighter. This is an obstacle he beat in the actual tournament. Oh, but he gets a bad jump off the second TIE Fighter, and he's not able to beat it today. Let's see if Spinny can improve on that. Looking into the Earth of the Solar Steps. On Earth, going to bars. Spinny 37, nicely through. On now to the Pokeball. Taking this time here. He's gonna roll the ball down. Spinny hanging a little far back, but he does make it through. Spinny 37. Can he pull ahead here on the TIE Fighter? He's taking his time. Going for the first TIE Fighter. Second one. He's going to come up short, unlike Goat Tanks. Now Goat Tanks on the second stage gets into the cross slider. Now, there was originally going to be a different first obstacle for Tournament 18, but it had to be replaced on the last minute. And Goat Tanks hits his shoulder going into the second bar of the double salmon ladder. And now here's Spinny here on that same obstacle. Let's see if Spinny can get through it. Spinny, Killer the Man, whatever you want to call him. Looking into the second bar, taking his time. He's gonna miss it, but he does save himself on the first bar. Spinny comes up short again, but he's not able to save it this time, and we are still tied going into the hinge. Goat Tanks looking into the second ledge. Did beat this obstacle, but he slipped off on the platform in between this and the Sidewinder. But can Goat Tanks get this dismount here on the hinge? Eyeing it down. Goat Tanks. Oh, bad jump. He did not get it. A lot of momentum, and he's going to come up short. And if Spinny does not complete this obstacle, we will be going to the Spider Climb tiebreaker. But if Spinny can make it through the hinge, if he can get that dismount, he will take the victory over Goat Tanks. So, gets onto that fourth ledge. Looking into the fifth ledge. If he can make this jump, he will take the victory from Goat Tanks. A massive moment here for Spinny 37. Will he be going to the tiebreaker, or will he take the victory right here and now? Spinny 37 taking a lot of time. He is scared of this jump. A lot of pressure here on Spinny 37 here on the dismount of the hinge. Getting close to the edge. Eyeing it down. Spinny 37. Taking a little more time. A lot of time. Looking now. Spinny goes for it, and he makes the jump! Spinny 37 takes the win from GoTaint to end off round 1. Nicely done. And with that, we have come to the end of round 1. 24 Spartans entered the tournament, however 16 are left standing going into round 2. The 8 who survived round 1 will face the top 8 seeded Spartans as our top competitors get their first chance to compete. The first match we'll be seeing will be the 8th seeded Gaming Brando going up against the 8th lowest remaining seeded Mighty Max. Then the 7th seeded Eternal Flame will face the 7th lowest seeded Atlantic Champ. Then Sunnyside Splash will face Weapon Mat, Pedro Man will face Irish, Hunter faces Snos, Fireball faces Spinny, Joey faces Walnut, and finally the top seeded competitors Smokey Massacre will face the lowest remaining seeded Super Ninja Jake. These are some of Halo Jumping's best competitors, but only 8 of these 16 will advance to the quarterfinals. So without further ado, let's see who's strong enough to survive round 2. 16 Spartans left as we begin here in round 2. The first match will be Mighty Max going up against the 8th seeded Gaming Brando on Tournament 1. The tournament that started it all. 8 points up for grabs here on stage 1. Now, this early tournament is probably going to be much easier for our competitors, so this could present a chance for big points here on Tournament 1 as Mighty Max gets through the quintuple steps, making his way through the barrel climb, across the spinning log, and onto the rapid descent. Mighty Max gets to dismount and onto the dancing stones. This was the most brutal obstacle of this first tournament, but Mighty Max makes it quickly through and onto the jumping, a much different one. You had the shield with the invisible grav lifts. You had to hit the sides of them in order to get into the first one. Mighty Max is gonna skip that last set of blocks on the jump hang as he approaches a very easy warp wall. I would be very shocked if someone failed it. Mighty Max stayed up it in 1. Now it is possible to fail the Stairway to Heaven if you don't keep holding forwards, but crisis will be averted as Mighty Max gets all 8 points here for stage 1. Gaming Brando, we're going to jump ahead to the dancing stones. He's taking a much more careful approach here on this 5th obstacle. Gaming Brando getting close to the end of the dancing stones. This is the obstacle that our very first competitor failed. Field Scarecrow. Now, Gaming Brando onto the jump hang. Ooh, a little close to the middle there, but he does make it into the jump hang at least. Onto that 3rd block. Now, you gotta be careful. You can hit your head on these blocks if you're not careful enough. But Gaming Brando is going to make it through and onto the warp wall. Gaming Brando getting close to the end of this stage 1. And no problems for him as he makes it up in 1. And looking to tie it up here at the end of stage 1. On the Stairway to Heaven, Gaming Brando picks it up. And we are tied going into the 2nd stage. Another 8 points up for grabs. This was back when stage 2 was 2 sections. Now, in the original tournaments, the first section had a time limit and the second section did not. So, the second section acted more like a typical stage 3, where back in these early tournaments, stage 3 was all mongoose. So, a lot of the typical stage 3 obstacles, type of stage 3 obstacles that we'd see in later tournaments would end up here on the second set of stage 2 here in these early tournaments. Right now, Mighty Max here on the coil dodge. This was a pretty tough obstacle back in the day. Let's see if Mighty Max can solve it. He's going to walk right through it all as he gets good timing, climbing up into the broken ball. Now he has to get the ball onto the track, and once it does, he can go straight for the dismount. And ball is actually going to make it to the end, so the ball physics obviously were much more improved since the broken ball. It was called the broken ball back then because the ball physics were not very good back in that first tournament. And that would be the only ball obstacle for a long time. But Mighty Max makes it through the gravity road and onto the rocket bars. The original version, this one was much easier. But Mighty Max looking into that third rocket. And a bunch of Xbox notifications going off. Nice thing about this Guardian Cup bracket is that it blocks the Xbox notifications. Mighty Max makes it through the cliffhanger and onto the domino hill, which might be the most difficult obstacle on this stage. And let's skip all the way to that third domino. There are 20 dominoes in total, and after every 5 dominoes, they will get further and further apart. And they are color-coded to let you know how far each domino is. Mighty Max looking into the 11th domino. 12th one, he gets a safe jump. These are probably the most difficult ones here in this first tournament, at least, because as you can see with the red section, they are much thicker. That was eventually buffed in later tournaments, but here in this first tournament, they were much thicker because I was not very good at jumping back then, and I thought at the time it was too difficult, but it's not. I was just crap at jumping. But Mighty Max, nearing the end of the domino hill, hits the fusion coil and gets all the points for this stage. Let's see if Gaming Brando can live up to that performance. Taking his time here on the spider walk. First obstacle. Makes it up. This is kind of similar to the spider walk we'd see in tournaments 9 through 13, except this one was much easier. Now for the salmon ladder. 6 ledges. He's gonna skip onto that second ledge. Gaming Brando will make it up and onto the coil dodge. Gaming Brando's gonna jump ahead. There was no shield above the coils back then, so he could jump over them in this first tournament. We're gonna jump ahead to the domino hill where he's on to the 12th domino. Gaming Brando looking to tie it up here. Here at the end of the second stage. Getting close to the red section. He's got one more left here in this yellow section. He's got the 15th domino. Looking into domino number 16. Gonna take another safe jump. Gonna take these nice and slow. Not the most difficult jumps, but, you know, with the point up for grab, he wants to make sure he can make the most of it. Gaming Brando has currently the longest ongoing Stage 1 clear streak on Spartan Sasuke, being the only competitor to clear in back-to-back tournaments. Right now, Gaming Brando gonna complete the second stage as he ties it up for the third stage. It is all going to come down to these mongoose obstacles. Mighty Max onto the Knievel jump. Some modifications had to be made to the original map due to the mongoose physics being updated after Tournament 1. So that extension to the platform wasn't there originally. Mighty Max flips out of the mongoose on the open turn, and he will not get the points. All 4 wheels have to touch down on the green platform for the points to count, and he flipped out of his mongoose before that could happen. And now Gaming Brando has a chance to win it here. Early on, he makes it through the Knievel jump. He has tied it up. He's at least ensured the tiebreaker. But if he can make it through the open turn, he'll close it out. And Gaming Brando, get this turn, gets a flip, but he does not fall out of the mongoose. Gaming Brando takes the win here in Tournament 1, knocking out Mighty Max. Now we have Atlantic Champ going up against the 7th seeded Eternal Flame on another early tournament, Tournament 3. Atlantic Champ. This was a tournament he did not compete in. He made his debut 2 tournaments later in Tournament 5. However, he was active in the jumping scene at the time. I just don't think he knew about my course until a little later on. But Atlantic Champ makes it through the floating steps and on to the slide hop. This was an obstacle that did make its way onto one of the infinite tournaments. Atlantic through the precision boulder and to the butterfly wall, a much easier butterfly wall, and onto the dancing stones. It's onto that nicely. Going across to the right, looking to the last stone. Atlantic Champ onto the jump hang. This one's got a pallet. Now, jump hang was a little different in every tournament it was in. The Tournament 3 version has the pallet before, as the bouncers weren't yet a thing. They were added, though, I think a few days after this tournament began filming. So, would have been really nice to have back then. But anyways, Atlantic Champ on out to the warp wall. And he make it up. Not on the first go. He's got 2 more tries to make it up. Atlantic Champ onto the ledge and makes it up. And now another pallet jump before the rope climb. Atlantic not quite able to get to skip onto the second rope, but he does make it to the top and gets all 8 points available for Stage 1 of Tournament 3. Now Eternal Flame on the Dancing Stones. He did not compete in a single Spartan Sasuke tournament on Halo 5. His debut came in the first Infinite tournament. Now I want to say that he competed in Irish's final Halo 5 tournament. I could be wrong though, but the final Spartan Sasuke tournament on Halo 5 was hosted before that, so Eternal did not quite get the chance to compete in the final Halo 5 tournament of Spartan Sasuke. Eternal Flame does not get up the Warp Wall 1. He has had quite a bit of struggles with the Warp Wall lately on Spartan Sasuke. He's got one more try here on the Warp Wall Tournament 3, and he makes it up eventually. Eternal Flame, nearing the end of Stage 1, just gotta make it through here on the rope climb. He's climbing up. Eternal Flame is gonna make it to the top. Tie up the points going into Stage 2. This is a big Stage 2. 10 points up for grabs here on this Stage 2. Many points. Atlantic Champ on the first obstacle, the chain reaction. Going across the head slide now. Gets the point. Onto the salmon ladder. Gets that jump onto the second ledge. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Atlantic Champ. Now for the spider walk. Our competitors were told in advance which ledges they could skip and which ones they could not. This first ledge you can skip, but he is going to use that ledge anyways. Atlantic Champ looking into the fourth ledge. It's a safe jump. Fifth ledge, the sixth one he can skip as well, but he's gonna take that one. Gonna drop down to the seventh ledge. Drops to eighth. And then looking into the ninth. Just needs a dismount. And Atlantic Champ on now to the coil dodge. An obstacle he is pretty familiar with. He's gonna take his time here on the coil dodge. It's that second coil. Looking into the third coil. Nicely through. Fourth. Atlantic. Gonna speed across the fifth one as well. Now for the metal spin. Atlantic Champ comes up short of the metal spin. Not quite able to make it through. And now Eternal Flame onto the spider walk, looking into the fifth ledge. Sixth ledge, now gotta make the drop down to the seventh. Runs down to the eighth and the ninth. And Eternal Flame onto the coil dodge. Can he tie it up here? Eternal Flame looking into the third coil now. Fourth coil. Fifth, taking slightly more time, but he's quickly onto the metal spin. Can Eternal get through it, unlike Atlantic Champ? Yes, he can. Eternal Flame takes the lead here as Eternal enters the gravity road. Second lift. Third lift. These have no lift, so you just kind of slowly run across them. And hits the fusion coil to get the point. And onto the rocket bars. Essentially the same as they were in Tournament 1, so this looks a little bit more neat here with the textures that were added in this tournament. Right now, Eternal Flame onto the body prop. 3-point lead going into this obstacle. The further Eternal can get, the better he'll be going into the third stage. Oh, but he hits the front of the second window as he goes into the third one. And fails the body prop. And now Atlantic Champ on the third stage makes it for the Knievel jump. Onto the sweeping corner. Gonna make it across. He's gonna make the drop down before he gets the point. And there's the point. On now to the Octagon Bridge. This is a pretty tough obstacle, even though no one actually failed it in the tournament. But Atlantic Champ gets across. Now for the vehicle ramps. This took out a lot of competitors back in the day. It's not like the vehicle ramps from Ninja Warrior Halo where that one was more about speed. These ones, you gotta take them nice and slow. But Atlantic Champ makes it through onto the Tornado Alley. Gotta line the mongoose up with the corners of each block. He's taking it nice and slow. You got plenty of room to work with to line your mongoose up. So, on the third block now, Atlantic Champ gets into the fourth one. Almost was a little too fast going into that fourth one, but makes it across to the fifth one. And now eyeing down the power wall. This obstacle was introduced here in this tournament. Can Atlantic Champ get the power wall? Yes, he can. And now for the Devil's Jump. Gotta slowly go down and then make it across. He's going for speed, but he almost flips out. That was almost a disaster for Atlantic. But he is able to recover and makes it onto the final obstacle, the final track. He's got the two split rails. First one's got 3 bumps, and the second one's got a second bump. Atlantic Champ going slowly here on the final track. Over the first bump. Second bump. Nice and steady. Taking his time for the third bump. Atlantic Champ. Can he be the first person here in the Guardian Cup to clear the third stage? No one's cleared the third stage here in the Guardian Cup yet. Atlantic Champ looking to be the first. He goes for the big jump. He gets a lot of speed and makes it across. Atlantic Champ completes the third stage, but will it be enough for him? Eternal Flame, if he gets through the power wall, he will beat Atlantic Champ. So, Eternal Flame onto the sweeping corner, going much more quickly here, but takes the descent a little slower. Now for the Octagon Bridge. Eternal Flame honking his horn. I do not like the sound of that. Makes me think that Eternal's worried about this obstacle. Taking a lot of time to set up. Goes for speed, but loses his balance, and Atlantic Champ takes the win over Eternal Flame. A good battle here in Tournament 3 by both competitors. Now we have Tournament 14 with Weapon Matt going up against the number 6 seed, Sunnyside Splash. Sunnyside will be going first here. Now before each match, the higher seed flips a coin, and whoever wins the coin toss can elect to go first or second. Sunnyside Splash going first here on Tournament 14. Onto the lolly drop. Sunnyside Splash makes it across. On now to the music box. It's into that first peg. This is a course Sunnyside Splash is not familiar with. His debut came much later in Tournament 20. Sunnyside Splash on now to the Dragon Glider. Gets into the first glider. Second glider almost comes up short, but makes it onto the Vertigo. And Sunny make it through. He's got it. A little tougher here in Tournament 14. But Sunny does make it through onto the crazy wall. This warp wall variant's a little different. You gotta jump onto the cylinder out ahead and then jump up to complete the rest of the obstacle. Now for the flying chute. This is a tough obstacle. You gotta get the timing just right. Sunny goes for it. Sunny jumps too early and overshoots the bar. Now Weapon Mat on the tilting diamonds. Weapon Mat through the first obstacle. Weapon Mat made it pretty far in the stage in the actual tournament, but unfortunately failed the Tarzan rope near the end of the stage. But now Weapon Mat getting through the lolly drop. Nicely through. On now to the music box. Weapon Mat. Second one. Gonna skip the third. And goes for the dismount from the fourth peg. And Weapon Mat on now to the Dragon Glider. Weapon Mat a little early there. And comes up short. Tough break for Matt on the Dragon Glider. Now Sunnyside Splash. Makes it through the slider drop and onto the Salmon Ladder Nabori. Taking his time. Get into that first bar. Second bar he misses. It's a recovery though. Second bar. He's going to spring into the third one. Springs into the fourth and the fifth. Now just needs to jump across. Sunnyside Splash. Gets a safe jump. And now for the Salmon Ladder Kadari. It's a safe jump, but he hits his head. And he's going to come crashing down. Now Weapon Mat. And he made it through the slider drop. Yes, he can. Weapon Mat on now to the Salmon Ladder Nabori. Matt. Oh, he overshoots the first bar. Not a great jump for Matt. And now Sunnyside Splash with a chance to close it out on the third stage. He's got to make it through the vertical limit to win the match here now. 5 obstacles. Now, Sunnyside Splash on the first obstacle. The drum hopper making his way up. One more to go for Sunnyside Splash. Going for the dismount. And he gets it. On out to the flying bar. Flying bar, this one only had 3 bars back here on the Halo 5 version. But Sunnyside Splash taking his time going into the second bar. These are some pretty big jumps he's got to make it across. It's a safe jump on the second bar. And this jump to the third bar is the same as the jump to the second bar. No difference in distance. It's a safe jump and now has to go straight into the Sidewinder. And he makes it into the first head slide. He's gotta get these transfers just right. Gets into the second one. The head slide, like the actual head slide itself, the room to get in gets smaller the further you progress. So you have less room for error here as you progress for the obstacle. And Sunnyside Splash does make it for the Sidewinder as he approaches the Lunatic Cliffhanger. This was the tournament that introduced this very tricky obstacle, and it was much tougher here. This 90-degree jump much further out, but Sunny gets onto the third ledge. Gets that first 90-degree jump nicely, looking into the second one. Sunnyside Splash gets the second 90-degree jump as well, and now for the jump that ended Tournament 14. This jump onto the fifth ledge that Atlantic Champ failed. Sunny is going to get that jump and now has to get a massive jump down to the sixth ledge. Can Sunny get the big jump he needs? It is such a huge jump. He's backing up. Sunnyside Splash. Can he defeat the Lunatic Cliffhanger? He goes for it. Oh, he almost had it. He had the distance, but he did not get the jump. As you can see, if he had gotten the jump, he would have made it. But he did not press the button in time. And now Weapon Mat already out on the drum hopper, and Sunnyside Splash wins. Now we have Crown Ferret 19 going up against Pedro Man on Tournament 20.
Fight on.
Fight on. Pedro Man will go first here on the diving planks. Third, fourth, Pedro Man. Very skilled competitor. This was the tournament where Pedro made it all the way to the final stage, so he should be very comfortable on these obstacles. Pedro Man. Nicely through the rolling hurdle, on now to the jumping spider. Can he get the jump he needs? Pedro Man looking into the second ledge, third ledge, fourth ledge, he gets it. Fifth, and gonna get the dismount now for the Kudari swing bridge. These swings get further down, and Pedro Man makes it onto mix and match. Gets onto the soccer ball, bouncer, golf ball, the second pallet, and now just one obstacle remaining, the warp wall. Pedro Man up it in one, and all 7 points for Pedro here on the first stage of Tournament 20. Now, Irish looking into the diving planks. Irish beat this stage 1 in the actual tournament like Pedro Man. So, let's see if Irish can get through. He's through the butterfly wall and onto the rolling hurdle. Irish was a little worried about this rolling hurdle, but can he make it through? Irish goes over, but he comes up short of the ball and not quite able to catch back up. And now Pedro with a massive lead going into stage 2. Gets through rope run and onto the drop salmon ladder. 7 points up for grabs here in this stage 2, so this could be some big points for Pedro Man as he makes it onto the 6th bar. No safe jump required as he's onto the wind chimes. Gets onto the second chime. He's gonna full send these. Pedro Man looking like a pro here as he enters the double compressor. Pedro Man makes it into the first one. Second compressor, nicely done. Pedro has failed that obstacle in the past, but he makes it through today. This is safe jump on the metal spin, and now for the coil dodge. Pedro Man, he's gonna take them one at a time. Third coil, fourth, fifth, and onto the wall lift. Pretty much an unfailable obstacle here, but he does have to make it to the fusion coil for the point to count. Yes, I am stingy like that. 14 points for Pedro Man. And if Irish does not make it far enough here on this stage 2, then this match will end on stage 2. He has to beat the double compressor to force a stage 3 for Pedro Man. And there's Pedro in the background on the tree on the end, hoping to see Irish join him at the end there. Right now, Crown Ferret on the top of the first set, eyeing down the drop to the 6th bar. Irish through the drop salmon ladder, now for the wind chimes. Gonna take his time here on the first chime. Irish gonna speed it up here on the third. Fourth, Irish onto the double compressor. This is the make or break obstacle for Irish. He needs to make it through this. Looking down the second compressor, he's got that jump. And he will force a stage 3, but can he complete the rest of the stage to give himself a little bit more of a cushion? No, he cannot. He's out on the metal spin. And all Pedro Man has to do here on stage 3 is beat the rolling dice. That's all he's got to do. Make it through 3.1. As long as he does not make a silly mistake, Pedro Man will be moving on to the quarterfinals. And this dice is moving very quickly. He wants to get it done and over with. And just needs to drop for the dismount. And there it is. Pedro Man moving on to the quarterfinals. Now, on to tournament 4. We have Snos going up against the number 4 seeded Hunter Unit 751, the host of Ninja Warrior of Halo. He'll be going first. Hunter. This was a stage that he beat in the actual tournament. He was one of only 6 people to clear stage 1 in tournament 4. Hunter Unit, 9 points up for grabs here on this stage 1. This was one of the more difficult stages, even for this era. Now for the slide hop, Hunter gets it nicely on now to the precision boulder. This was pretty much my version of the big boulder. And Hunter makes it onto the jumping rings, onto the 3rd ring, 4th ring, and makes it across. Hunter unit onto the jump hang. That one does have a bouncer. And he makes it up to the third ledge, fourth ledge. And now looking ahead to the crooked wall. This was the tough obstacle of the tournament. He needs enough height and speed to make it to the head slide above, and Hunter just comes up short. Not quite enough to make it in. And now Snos, here he goes. He's through the floating steps and onto the slide hop. Snos failed the crooked wall in the actual tournament, so it'd be nice for him to at least make it that far and at least tie it up going into stage 2. The more points Snos can get here on stage 1, the better, as stage 2's got 10 points up for grabs. Snos, an important test for him as he approaches the jump hang. It's good timing on the bouncer. Snos, no, he overshoots the third ledge. A little too much momentum there, and he only gets 4 points. Now Hunter with the 1 point lead entering the chain reaction of stage 2. Hunter unit, another stage he beat in the actual tournament, so he could be feeling pretty comfortable here on these obstacles. Now for the salmon ladder. This obstacle was made tougher for this tournament compared to the first 3 tournaments. But no troubles for Hunter as he approaches the spider walk. Now the skippable ledges are a lot more visible now that there's a lot more lighting here on stage 2 in this tournament, as my forging got better as time went on. Hunter unit onto the 8th ledge, 9th ledge. Hunter nicely through as he enters the coil dodge. And Hunter, the coils are smoking a little. He did accidentally shoot one of them. If those coils blow up, that is a disqualification. But they are still going, and Hunter unit eyeing down the 4th coil. Ooh, almost gets smacked away by the 5th coil, but he makes it through just in time. Hunter gets onto the metal spin. And now for the gravity road. A very slow obstacle, so we're going to jump ahead to the end of the obstacle. Hunter toying around with the coil. He gotta blow it up to get the point. There you go. Alright, now for the snowball grasper. There are 8 snowballs. The ones on the left are higher up than the ones on the right, so gotta drop down to the 2nd one, go up to the 3rd, down to the 4th, and then so on and so forth. About halfway through the obstacle now. These drops aren't the easiest drops to make. You can slip off them if you're not careful enough. But now Hunter unit getting close to the end, gets the 8th snowball. And now for the body prop. This is where Eternal Flame failed earlier in the Guardian Cup. Can Hunter make it through? Onto the 3rd ledge. The windows get further and further away the further you progress here on the body prop. But Hunter makes it through each jump nicely as he approaches the shin cliffhanger. This obstacle was introduced as a way to get over that really hard tournament 3 cliffhanger. So the shin cliffhanger was introduced this tournament because I didn't think I'd have another chance to actually have it in the tournament. So it's there in Tournament 4. It's one chance at glory, and Hunter unit through it. On now to the Domino Hill. And he's gonna come up short of the 5th domino. That is the obstacle he failed in Tournament 1. And Snos, now with his chance at Stage 2. Snos has to make it through the salmon ladder if he wants to force his Stage 3. So another risk of a match ending on Stage 2. Snos through the chain reaction and onto the salmon ladder. Gonna go quickly up and onto the 2nd ledge. He slips off and not able to recover. Hunter unit with the early win in that match. And now we have Spinny 37 going up against Fireball, the number 3 seed on the next tournament, Tournament 5. Fireball going first here, 10 points up for grabs. This was the Stage 1 where he infamously failed the ghost ramp. It was a popular meme in the jumping community back in the day. I failed the ghost ramp. But he's got quite a few obstacles to get through before he even gets a chance at the ghost ramp. through the log grip on out to the pole maze. Gotta into the head slide and then go to the right. Because if he goes to the left, he will reach a dead end. And then to the left and then back to the right to complete the obstacle. Fireball nicely through the pole maze. And now for the jumping spider, a crucial obstacle to make it through here on Tournament 5. It was a little easier this jump onto the first ledge back in the day, but then Tournament 6 and onwards, that first jump pretty much was the same. And shooting that jumping spider, he was worried about that obstacle. Now for the half-pipe attack. Fireball gets into the man cannon. And across onto the tackle machine. He's got to use the Warthog to push the van across to the other side. And he has done just that as he makes it onto the Great Wall. 3 chances here on the Great Wall. He's not able to get up on the first go. Second go, no good. One more chance for Fireball on the Great Wall. On the rope, still needs to make it up and gets the spring jump up. Fireball. A little close call there on the Great Wall, but he's on to the flying chute. He's failed his obstacle twice in Spartan Sasuke, but he gets a safe jump nicely. Fireball through the flying chute and onto the famous ghost ramp. His nemesis. Has he got enough speed this time? Yes, he does. Fireball beats the ghost ramp for the first time. And a little bit of a slip here on the column ladder, but he's gonna make it up. Just needs to hit the fusion coil at the end. And that's all 10 points for Fireball here on stage number 1. Spinny 37 jumping ahead to the jumping spider. Almost overshoots the first ledge, but gets a nice safe jump. Looking into that second ledge. Third. Tough jump up to the fourth one. He's got it nicely. Fifth ledge. Spinny got it. Yes, he does. He's for the jumping spider. Now for the half-pipe attack. Taking a bit of time lining up for the half-pipe. He goes for it now. Gets into the man cannon nicely. And just crouch into it. On out to the tackle machine. Spinny through it. And now taking a bit of extra time to punch the van. No need for that, but he's doing it anyways. Just for the heck of it. Now for the Great Wall. Spinny onto the rope and up the Great Wall in 1. Now for the flying chute. And he get through it like Fireball. This is another tough obstacle right here. Spinny 37 taking this time. He launches, doing a 360, and he jumps way too early. He didn't even get a jump off. If you jump too early, you could still be on that slider and not even get enough height. So Fireball with a weird safe jump here going into the second slider, the tilting slider. He was not comfortable with that jump at all. But he does make it through onto the double salmon ladder. Fireball approaching the obstacle now. Fireball onto the first ledge. Second, third, fourth. Jumps up and across to the fifth ledge. Gets the safe jump. Sixth ledge. Seventh, eighth. And gets the point. There's no extra bar in between this and the unstable bridge, unlike the one on Tournament 7 and 8. He's through the unstable bridge onto the doorknob grasper. This one's in a straight line, unlike the Tournament 7 version. Fireball through that and onto the curtain clean. A tough obstacle to make it through. Fireball comes up short of it. Tough break for Fireball in the curtain clean. And now Spinny 37 onto the unstable bridge. Nicely through that obstacle. A little bit of lag going into the doorknob grasper. But hopefully it won't affect him here. Taking his time going into the first doorknob. Gonna stick it. Second doorknob now. Spinny 37 taking his time lining up for this jump. These are pretty close jumps, and the rule is you have to use all 4 doorknobs. Because if you skip one, you'll be disqualified. Spinny 37 gets the safe jump on the 4th one. And And onto the curtain clean. Can he get through it? Unlike Fireball. Spinny 37. He jumps across. And he gets it unlike Fireball. And he's on to the wall lift. Eyeing down his first ever landmine on a Spartan Sasuke course, even though it's not a Spartan Sasuke tournament. And Spinny going very slowly. He's dragging this out for the camera. He spent an entire minute just on that third wall. And his sword finally connects to the landmine at the end. And Spinny soaking in every moment of it. Now Fireball on the third stage. Fireball still got a 1-point lead going into the stage. Fireball, if he can complete the stage, he will close out this match. There are 8 points up for grabs. Fireball nearing the end of the rope junction. Makes it through nicely on now to the cycle road. Gets that first one nicely. Second one. Can he get the corner jump? Yes, he can. On to the third one now. Fireball. Obstacle he completed in Tournament 8. Fireball is gonna go for that last corner jump. Now for a pretty tricky obstacle, the body drop. You gotta get the timing on these windows just right. Fireball gets the fourth window and is across. Now for the ultimate cliffhanger. 6 ledges he's gotta make it through. Eyeing down the second ledge. He's got that. Looking into the third ledge now. Nicely done. Fourth ledge. Looking into the fifth ledge. Going straight into the sixth ledge. And Fireball gets the safe jump. And another point as he approaches the jumping bars. 4 bars to get slightly further apart the further you progress. And Fireball comes up short of the first bar. Now Spinny on the cycle road. Spinny has to complete that obstacle to force a tiebreaker, and if he beats the hang climb, he'll win. Spinny 37 with a chance to beat Fireball here, the number 3 seed, a chance for him to pull off an upset. But he's got a long road ahead, but he does make it through the cycle road. Now for the body drop. Can he get the timing just right on these drops? He has to use all 4 windows. If he misses a window, it's a disqualification. Spinny eyeing down to jump into that first one. He's taking his time. He's a little worried about this obstacle, but can he make it through? Spinny a little taking his time. Eyeing down the body drop. Taking a lot of time going into the first window. He goes for it. Second window, he does not get the jump out, and Fireball will win. Now, on to the second to last match of round 2, we have Spartan Walnut going up against the number 2 seeded Joey Davis on
Fight
Tournament
on.
13, a tournament neither of these competitors have competed on. So this will be new territory for both our competitors. Joey Davis, 9 points up for grabs here on stage 1 as he gets for the Prism Hill. Onto the curtain slider. He goes very fast and underneath that block. Typically you want to go very slowly on that, but a crazy technique pays off for him. Gets through the gunslinger onto the music box. He's going to get a safe jump on the first peg. Second peg going for the fourth. He's going to use that fifth peg, and now for a tricky obstacle here, the double pendulum. This was a very tough obstacle back in the day. But Joey gets into that second pendulum nicely. Joey Davis through and onto the ring cross. This one's a little different than the Tournament 8 version. There's only 1 ring in the middle as opposed to 2. And Joey on now to the warp wall. Joey. First attempt, no good for Joey. Only 2 attempts left here on the warp wall. Second attempt. Not able to get up. One last chance for Joey here on the warp wall. Bad jump, and Joey out on the warp wall. He's just going to run off. Now Spartan Walnut with his chance here on the Prism Hill. Spartan Walnut taking his time here. He got to crouch under the wall and then get the timing on that ledge, which he's done. Now for the curtain slider. Spartan Walnut He's gonna take his time here on the curtain slider, going for a much slower approach with that block in the middle. This is typically how you want to handle the curtain slider. And now for the gunslinger. Spartan Walnut, a slight slip there as he approaches the ball. Spartan Walnut, can he survive to 2 drops? Yes, he can. Spartan Walnut gets the dismount, and now for the music box. This was the obstacle he failed in his debut, and he fails it again here on Tournament 13. Now Joey Davis, a 3-point lead entering the second stage, gets a safe jump on the cannonball slider. And through the first obstacle, and now for the salmon ladder. Joey Davis, 6 points up for grabs on stage 2. Now must get up the 7 bars of the salmon ladder. Having a little bit of trouble getting to that 3rd bar, but he's nicely up to the 4th. 5th bar, 6th bar, slip there. And another one. He's struggling a little bit here on the salmon ladder, but he does make it to the top. Joey Davis on now to the wing nuts. Davis, one of the strongest new stars of Spartan Sasuke here on Tournament 13. He gets onto the second wingnut. And he's across and now for the spider walk. Up to the second ledge. 3rd ledge, 4th ledge. 5th. Looking into the smaller 6th ledge. 7th one, straight into the 8th, and Joey onto the fusion slider. This is a pretty tricky obstacle. You gotta get the timing just right. He's gonna go straight for it, but he's a little too quick into that second one, and it knocks him off. Now Walnut up the salmon ladder and looking into the wingnuts. Walnut, can he get the swing he needs to get into that second wingnut? Walnut still swinging the first one. Probably make it here on this cycle, but he's going to take an additional swing. Walnut is looking for the jump now, and he does make it through. Wingnuts was never the toughest obstacle, but it was more about speed back in the day. You wanted to get it done quickly, as the time limit was pretty tough back in the day. You only had 80 seconds in this tournament to get through stage 2. Now Walnut with a safe jump on the second ledge of the spider walk, eyeing down the 3rd ledge. Gets it nicely. Now for the 4th ledge, Spartan Walnut overshoots the 4th ledge and is down 4 points going into stage 3. This is the only 3rd stage in Spartan Sasuke history to have only 7 obstacles, so but Joey Davis probably won't even need to face that many obstacles, because if Joey can get through the cliffhanger, crazy cliffhanger, he can close it out. Now for the floating boards. This is an obstacle that 2 competitors failed in the actual tournament. And he's gonna overshoot the 5th board, and not good enough. Now Spartan Walnut, he is still in it, but he's gotta make it much further if he wants to win. Vertical limit high, he's gotta make it through if he wants to win. Yep. Walnut doing nicely here on the drum hopper. He was a little worried about that, but he does make it through and on to the floating boards. Can he get through it? Unlike Joey, he's gonna use the side railing to make the jump onto the first one easier. Spartan Walnut taking his time going into that first board. Now they're all the same distance each jump, so doesn't have to worry about them getting further and further apart. But Walnut overshoots the first one, and Joey takes the win. And now we come down to the final match of round 2. Super Ninja J2 will go up against the top-seeded Smokey Massacre on Tournament 10. Bottom seed versus top seed. Smokey Massacre, the 3-time champion of Spartan Sasuke, the competitor everyone's been looking forward to seeing here in the Guardian Cup. And we are on Tournament 10, a tournament Smokey did very good in. He made it all the way to the vertical limit on stage 3. Smokey Massacre onto the gunslinger. Now, he's on it. Smokey Massacre nicely into the tube, and now for the swing bridge. Gets a good jump going into the third one, fourth one, and is through onto the jump pane kai. Smokey Massacre gets onto the first ledge. Gonna use the right side of the jump pane kai, taking his time, and Smokey Massacre on now to the crooked wall. Looking into the head slide. Can he get it? Yes, he can. That's the obstacle he failed in Tournament 4. But he makes it through this time. And not able to get up the warp wall 1. He's got 2 more chances to make it up. Smokey Massacre gonna make it up in 2. Now for the giant swing. Smokey. It's a good bounce in that first one. Can he maintain his balance? Yes, he can. Smokey Massacre onto the vertical plank. He is getting close to the end of this stage 1. Gets a safe jump on the 3rd block. On the 5th, and Smokey Massacre. A perfect run on stage 1. Nicely done. Now Ninja Jake with his turn on the swing bridge. 3rd ball, 4th ball, Super Ninja Jake onto the jump pane kai. Now, Super Ninja Jake, he does actually have a lot of clears compared to like some of the higher C's above him, but he did get the bottom C due to missing 2 tournaments on Infinite. So that's why he is facing Smokey Massacre here in round 2. Jake also unable to get up the wall in 1. Super Ninja Jake not able to get up in 2. One last chance for Super Ninja Jake here on the warp wall. This could be big for Smokey if Jake does not make it up here. Can Jake get it? Yes, he can! On the last attempt, too. Super Ninja Jake on now to the giant swing. Gets up onto the bar. Can he get the jump across? Yes, he can. He's got these jumps to make. It's not the easiest final obstacle. You can slip off these if you're not careful enough. But Jake will make it through. And we are tied going into stage 2. We got a match going on here. Now Smokey Massacre once again going first here on the downhill jump. The jump off and onto the swap salmon ladder. 5 ledges. Gets him to the first, second one, third one, fourth one, one more. Smokey Massacre onto the escape launch. Gotta jump out of the mongoose at just the right time, which Smokey gets perfectly. Now for the spider walk. He's gonna go quickly into that second ledge. A little bit more time here on these later ones. No problems with that at all. Smokey Massacre onto the 7th one. Nearly overshoots it, but he's okay. Now Smokey Massacre gonna dive down into the backstream. Can he get these bouncers nicely? Gets the second bouncer, he gets onto the pole. Now it's to ascend back out. Smokey through the backstream and onto the triple reverse. You gotta hit the bouncer at different points for each one. Through the second one. This third one's the toughest. Can Smokey get it? Yes, he can. All 6 points for Smokey Massacre on stage 2. Well done. Now, can Jake live up to that performance? He's onto the swap salmon ladder. 4th ledge, 5th ledge, Ninja Jake. Up and onto the escape launch. Gets out. Nice timing. And onto the spider walk. Quickly into the 3rd ledge. Going down to the 4th. Gets the safe jump. Ninja Jake. Going across to the 6th. And back to the 7th. Makes those jumps slightly easier. And now for the backstream. Goes down into the tank. Goes for the first bouncer. Second bouncer gets the pole, gets the safe jump. There's Smokey looking on in the background as Jake approaches the final obstacle of stage 2, the triple reverse. Second bouncer, nicely done. Final bouncer, and Jake's got it as well, and we'll still be tied going into the 3rd stage. It is all gonna come down to these 8 obstacles here on stage 3. Smokey Massacre into the drum hopper. Gets the jump into the second one nicely. Third one. Taking the fourth one nicely. Fifth one. Smokey Massacre. Through and onto the flying shelf grab. Eyeing down the second one. Ooh, hits the wall a little, but he makes it across to the second one. Third one. Smokey comes up short. Smokey Massacre only gets 1 point here on the third stage. He went for a technique where he was hanging far back, but going for this third one, he hits the wall and it cuts off his momentum, and he's not quite able to make it. This could be huge for Ninja Jake. Could we see a major upset from him here on the third stage? He's got to make it through this and the flying shelf grab to make it happen. Jake on the drum hopper. Fourth window. If he can make it through this, he'll at least force a tiebreaker. That is a very early fail for Smokey Massacre. And Jake has got to make it through this if he wants to pull off the upset. Second one. Third one, he's looking way more comfortable. He's got to complete the obstacle to get the point. Fourth shelf. Just needs the dismount. Music stops. Jake gets it! Super Ninja Jake 2 with the big upset against our three-time champion Smokey Massacre. Jake has eliminated Smokey Massacre in round 2. And with Super Ninja Jake's shocking upset, we come to the end of round 2. Only 8 Spartans are left standing going into the quarterfinals. One of these 8 will be number 100 in Spartan Sasuke 28. On the upper half of the bracket, Super Ninja Jake will face Gaming Brando, and the winner of that will face the winner of Pedro Man vs. Hunter in the semifinals. On the lower half of the bracket, the winner of Fireball vs. Sunny will face the winner of Atlantic vs. Joey. The Guardian Cup is coming down to the wire, so let's not waste any time and begin the quarterfinals. Final 8 competitors left. Super Ninja Jake 2 is going to go right back at it against Gaming Brando here on Tournament 16 to begin the quarterfinals. Gaming Brando will go first here on the dancing stones. Brando going quickly through this first obstacle and is across onto the Pokeball. This might be one of my favorite stage 1s I've ever had on Spartan Sasuke, but Gaming Brando almost falls off the back of the Pokeball, but nicely through onto the swing bridge. Second ball, third ball, fourth. Gaming Brando nicely through. Now for the jumping spider. Gaming Brando hits the trampoline too early, and a painful fall into the water. Now Super Ninja Jake, who just defeated Smokey Massacre, through the dancing stones and onto the Pokeball. He's gonna push the ball further ahead and is going to do that technique. Super Ninja Jake onto the swing bridge. Second one, third one, fourth one. Swing bridge hasn't been too tough on our competitors so far, but Jake gets into the jumping spider, nearly comes up short of the first ledge, but he gets it just in time. Super Ninja Jake gets through the jumping spider, and now for the circle slider. Gets the pallet, jumps up into the head slide, and is across onto the work wall. He struggled with this just earlier, but can he get up it here and one? Yes, he can. Now for the vehicle swing. He's got to drive the mongoose onto this swinging pendulum and then drive off onto the dismount. He's going to jump off the mongoose and onto the platform. Jake on the brick climb. He's just got to make it up this to get all 8 points for this stage and get a 5-point lead for stage 2. Super Ninja Jake on the last set, and Jake gets his 8th point here on Tournament 16. Well done to Jake. Now Gaming Brando with a bit of catch-up work to do here on the second stage. Nicely through the slider drop onto the double salmon ladder. Gets onto the first bar, gets a safe jump. A little struggle here, but not able to get up to the second bar. He gets up it now. Third bar. Fourth, another slip. Another one. Brando does make it up on the 3rd try. Cross onto the 5th bar nicely. 8th bar. 7th. 8th. And now the bar across to get the point. And he's got it. Onto the Delta Bridge. The ledges he's got to make it through. He's going to go quickly into the 3rd one. Gets a safe jump. Eyeing down the 4th one now. Gaming Brando. He's going to make it across and onto the rolling bays as Super Ninja J2 with a bit of a tragedy in the grandstands. Trying to ignore that. Anyways, Gaming Brando onto the rolling bays. Having a little trouble balancing himself here. Gotta make it through. Nearing the end, Brando through the rolling maze, and now for the metal spin, gets a very early slide, and is gonna come up short. He slid way too early for that. And now Super Ninja J2 across the Delta Bridge quickly. Now he'll get his chance at the rolling maze. Super Ninja J now with a 4-point lead entering this obstacle. Score currently 7-11. Nice little reference there. Anyways, Super Ninja J on the rolling maze. Ooh, a little caught up there on the wall, but he is managing his way across. And now for the metal spin. It's a short slide as he gets onto the metal spin. Super Ninja J, that is an obstacle he has failed twice on Spartan Sasuke, but he makes it through today. Now for one last obstacle, the speed log. He's gotta keep his mongoose balanced here, and he's got little like ledges to throw you off. Jake is across. Just needs to hit the buzzer. Come on. There you go. 7-point lead for Jake going into stage 3. Brando has to make it through the devil swing to tie it and keep himself alive. Brando on the drum hopper. Long road here on the 3rd stage for Brando. That jumping spider fail, it really cost him some valuable points. As he's gotta get very far here if he wants to force Jake to run this stage. He's through the drum hopper and onto the spinball wizard. Gaming Brando taking his time going into the 2nd spinball wizard. And he's across onto the sidewinder. Gaming Brando eyeing down the 1st head slide. He's got it nicely. This is a pretty tricky obstacle that even the 3-time champ Smokey Massacre failed in a tournament. Looking into the 3rd sidewinder. He's got it. One more left to go. Gaming Brando gets into the last one. Can he get the dismount? Yes, he can. Gaming Brando onto the lunatic cliffhanger. It's up to the 2nd ledge. Looking into the 3rd ledge. It's a tough 90-degree jump. He does not go for it right away. Not looking very comfortable here. This could be troubling for Gaming Brando. Going into the 3rd ledge. He goes for it and he does not make it. Super Ninja J2 punches his ticket to the semifinals. The bottom seed moves on. Now we have 2 high-seeded competitors going against each other. We have the new star Pedro Man going up against Hunter Unit 751, the All-Star, on Tournament 19. Pedro Man made it to Stage 3 in this tournament, while Hunter failed Stage 2. So Pedro Man looked very comfortable on Stage 1 on Tournament 20. Let's see if he can get through another stage here on Tournament 19. This was originally going to be the final Halo 5 tournament, but because of Halo Infinite's multiple delays, more tournaments had to be held on this game. So, yeah, very unfortunate advertising of this being the last Halo 5 tournament back in the day. But Pedro Man handling mix and match quite well as he approaches the warp wall. Pedro Man makes it up in 1 and onto the Kadari swing bridge. It's the 1st ball, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Pedro Man on now to the Tarzan jumps. Gets onto the 2nd, 3rd, and is across onto the floating orbs. final obstacle for Pedro Man. Just needs to make it up. Getting pretty close. And he's up to the top. And all 9 points for Pedro Man here on the first stage. Nicely done. Now, Hunter Unit. And he beats stage 1 as well. Hunter threw the logjam onto the butterfly wall. This was the obstacle that infamously took out Double Ump, who wore number 1000 in this tournament. And he makes it through a little bit of lag going into the TIE Fighter. Hunter did say he was having a bit of connection issues going into this match, but hopefully it won't affect him here on the jumping spider. He's up onto the first ledge nicely. This is an obstacle he failed in Tournament 22. Hopefully it does not come back and bite him. Hunter Unit up to the 5th ledge, and he's through the jumping spider. On now to mix and match. And Hunter making it through this. Hunter onto the pallet. Soccer ball. Bouncer, golf ball. He touches the support, and he's out on mix and match. Down 5 points for Hunter, as Pedro Man faces the rolling log on stage 2. Pedro Man makes it across on out to the double salmon ladder. 8 bars, and he make it up. Not able to make it up to the 2nd bar right away. And into the 4th one, nicely up. Goes across to the 5th bar, gets a safe jump. Ooh, I thought he had fallen there, but he hit his shoulder, but he gets a nice safe jump. Pedro Man gets the points as there's no additional bar to jump to. Now for the stick slider, definitely one of the easier obstacles. This was another one of those last minute additions for the tournament. On out to the wind chimes. This was the tournament that introduced the wind chimes. Pedro Man across and onto the metal spin. Gets a good slide, gets a safe jump. He's gonna stick the metal spin nicely. Now for the coil dodge. He got through it earlier on Tournament 20, and he get through it again here on Tournament 19. For coil, 5th coil, nicely done. Pedro Man just needs to lift the 3 walls again. On that signal. Looks like he's on toggle crouch, so he's a little slower getting those walls lifted. But he's got a 12-point lead now, which means Hunter's got some work to do. Onto the double salmon ladder. Hunter has to at least beat the wind chimes to force Pedro to run stage 3. Hunter was in a match earlier that ended on stage 2, but he won it. Now he could potentially be on the verge of losing on stage 2 if he can't get through the wind chimes. And Hunter gets through the double salmon ladder, an obstacle he has failed in the past. Now for the stick slider. Now getting ever so closer to those wind chimes that he failed in Tournament 19. This was a demon obstacle for him back in the day. Can he get through it this time? Can he avenge his fail from Tournament 19? A bit of lag going into that 2nd one, but he gets a safe jump. Nicely on there now. 3rd ledge, taking his time. Gets a safe jump. Another one, and Hunter slips off! Pedro Man wins on stage 2. Tough break for Hunter on the wind chimes. Now, we're on to Sunnyside Splash versus Fireball on Tournament 12. We are halfway through the quarterfinals. Now let's see how these two competitors fare against each other. Sunnyside Splash will go first on a tournament he is not familiar with. Through cat grab and onto the circle hammer. Sunnyside slips off the head slide, but he misses the kill barrier. If he had hit that kill barrier, he would have been out, but he gets a masterful recovery back onto the platform. He is able to try that jump again. It was almost a disaster right off the gate for Sunnyside Splash, but he does get through the circle hammer. On now to the gunslinger. Sunnyside rolling the ball. There's Fireball watching on in the background. Sunnyside Splash on out to the music box. This was the tournament that introduced the music box. 2nd peg. 4th. And is across onto the double pendulum. An obstacle Fireball has failed once in the past. Sunnyside Splash. He gets to jump into the second pendulum. Sunnyside is able to get through that tough obstacle. Now for the ring cross. Gets into the first ring. And use that right side to get into the second ring. Gets to jump nicely. Now for the third ring. Sunnyside Splash. Through and onto the warp wall. Can he make it up in 3 tries or less? Taking his time. He took a lot of time lining up for this, so we're jumping slightly ahead. Sunnyside does not make it up the wall in 1. He's got 2 more chances. Come on, Sunny. You got this. Sunnyside Splash. The new star. Can he get it? In 2. Yes, he can. Sunnyside Splash onto the swing bridge. Second. Third. He overshoots it, and Sunnyside Splash is out on the swing bridge. And now Fireball on the music box. He gets across and onto the double pendulum. The obstacle he failed in Tournament 13 in a rather unfortunate way. He lost his balance on the first swing in that tournament. But he makes it through today and on to the ring cross. Flying down that second ring. Got it nicely. Fireball. On out to the warp wall. Taking this time here. Fireball does make it up in 1, and now for the swing bridge that Sunny just failed. Can Fireball take the lead here on stage 1? Yes, he can. He's on to the vertical plank, the final obstacle of this stage. Just needs to make the climb up. And Fireball with a 2-point lead going into stage number 2. Now Sunnyside Splash onto the cannonball slider. Does not save jump on the cannonball. And he makes it onto the salmon ladder. That was the jump, that mount that he failed. That Fireball failed in the actual tournament, not Sunny. Sunny wouldn't compete for another 8 tournaments, but also nice to hear more. Anyway, Sunnyside Splash, he's gonna spring jump up the salmon ladder. And now for the wing nuts. He's gonna take a much shorter one, and he barely makes it onto the second swing. And now Sunnyside Splash onto the spider walk. Going quickly into the third one. 4. Gets the safe jump. Looking across to the 5th one. 6th one. Now he's got it. Gonna go across to the 7th. Gets another safe jump. And he's the jump onto the bar. He goes straight for the dismount. And now diving down into the back stream. Can he get this tricky obstacle? Sunnyside Splash. Gets onto the pole. Gets a couple of safe jumps there. Looking into the third bouncer. Fourth bouncer. He comes up a little short. He's lost his momentum. He's got to build it up, and he comes up short. Sunnyside Splash out on the back stream. And now Fireball on the cannonball slider. And here's the jump on the salmon ladder that he failed in the actual tournament. He gets it this time. Fireball. Struggling a little bit here to get up to that second bar. He's trying to get his spring jump engaged. And he's going now onto the 4th bar. 5th bar. He's struggling a little with his spring in here. Spring jumps are a little washed. But Fireball gets a little bit more of a swing here on the wing nuts compared to Sunnyside Splash. Not as close as Sunny, as Fireball takes the lead once again going into the spider walk. Fireball gets onto that 4th ledge, 5th ledge, looking across to the 6th and the 7th. 1 more left to go for Fireball. He gets that pole nicely. Fireball on now to the back stream. Can he get through it? Unlike Sunnyside Splash. Oh no, he cannot. He gets a false bounce. He did not press the jump button on the bouncer. If you do not press the jump button, you can get false bounce like that, as it happened with Fireball. That's why the letter A is there before you enter the back stream, to remind you to press the A button on each bouncer. But now Sunnyside Splash on the drum hopper. Nearing the end of the obstacle, he's got to at least reach the devil steps to keep this match alive. He's got to make it for the flying shelf grab that Smokey failed earlier. This is a tough obstacle, but can Sunnyside Splash make it across. He's on to the third one. Fourth one. Can he get the dismount? Yes, he can! Sunnyside Splash has tied it up going into the Devil Steps, so Fireball will be forced to run stage 3. Sunnyside Splash onto the Devil Steps. 12 skulls going up, 6 going down, 18 in total. Looking into the fourth skull. These are not the largest jumps, so you want to focus more on your precision as you go up the skulls. Looking into the 8th, 9th skull. These are spooky, scary skeletons. It is pretty close to Halloween, so happy Halloween in advance. Anyways, Sunnyside Splash. On now to the descent. Descent, it's pretty tough. He gets a safe jump on that 15th skull, a little close there. These ones on the left are pretty tough. I think it's just the geometry of the skulls himself that makes going to the left a little tougher. But gets that bottom head slide nicely onto the crazy cliffhanger. Sunnyside Splash. Looks like he's gonna spring it, and he does not get the spring jump. I probably would have just gone for the perfect crouch if I were him. But now, Fireball got to make it through this drum hopper to tie it up, and if he can make it through the next obstacle, the flying shelf grab, he will win the match. Fireball getting close to the end of the drum hopper, and Fireball does make it through. On now to the flying shelf grab. He's got these 4 shelves he's got to make it through. On the third one now. Fourth one just needs to dismount to win. Fireball moves on to the semifinals. A good match between both of these competitors, but it is Fireball that reigns victorious. And now we move on to the final match of the quarterfinals between Atlantic Champ and Joey Davis on Tournament 22, the final Halo 5 tournament. And there is that epic Stage 3 music that a lot of people loved back in the day. That music was used for 7 whole tournaments. And now, Atlantic Champ through the wave breaker, eyeing down the silk slider. He's gotta ride the head slide and goes across onto the rolling hurdle now. Atlantic Champ had a crazy Pokeball strat back in the day. However, the rolling hurdle has projectile blockers to prevent that strategy from occurring. Sorry, Atlantic. Anyways, he's on to the jumping spider. An obstacle he has failed on Infinite. And I don't think he's failed it in a Halo 5 tournament. I could be wrong, though. But anyways, Atlantic Champ does get for the jumping spider here. On now to onto the captain swing. A pretty tough obstacle here. Atlantic onto that first swing. Second swing, gets it nicely. Can he get the dismount across? Atlantic, yes he can, as he approaches the pit stop. The 5 cones and tires, he's gonna safe jump on the tire to get onto the cone. Does the same for the second one. Looking into the third one. If this was the actual tournament, he'd be needing to go much faster, as the time limit in this tournament was only 75 seconds, so it was all about speed back in this tournament. But it was not the toughest course, as 16 people made it through. But now, Atlantic Champ, can he get wall 1? Yes, he can! This is the fusion coil there. He's got it now. 7 points for Atlantic on stage 1. Nicely done. Now, Joey Davis, a slightly different helmet as he completes the rolling hurdle. Joey Davis on now to the jumping spider. He's gonna bump it going into that first ledge. Joey Davis onto the 4th ledge. This tournament, Joey Davis missed out on, and it was because of some very unfortunate circumstances. I won't go into any detail beyond that, but Joey Davis, he made it all the way to the final stage in the tournament prior, Tournament 21, where he just came up short of total victory by 3/4 of a second. And he was looking pretty smooth on the obstacles, but his pace just was not quick enough to achieve total victory. And if he was quick enough, this final Halo 5 tournament would have been a renewal. So just Imagine how much different the course would have been had Joey made it up to tower in time. Joey does not get up the warp wall in 1. He did not make it up the warp wall in Tournament 13, but he makes it up in 2 now. Joey Davis ties up Atlantic going into stage 2. And now here's Atlantic on the surf slider. We saw this obstacle at the very beginning of the Guardian Cup. Now he is here in the 20th of 23 matches. Atlantic champ on now to the drop salmon ladder. On that first bar, gets into the second bar. No spring jumps required for Atlantic as he's smoothly up to the 5th bar. Now must get the massive drop to the 6th bar. He goes for a running turn technique, which he gets nicely. Now for the double compressor, an obstacle Atlantic has failed in the past. Atlantic, can he get through it today? Eyeing down that second compressor. Gets into it nicely. Atlantic champ is across and onto the hanging hoops. This is the obstacle Atlantic champ failed in the actual tournament. He's getting some Vietnam flashbacks here on the hanging hoops, but can he make it through now? Atlantic champ slips off the first hoop. That is unfortunate. Only 3 points for Atlantic here on the second stage. Now Joey Davis with a chance to take the lead here on the second stage, as he could get an additional 3 points if he can get further than Atlantic. Bit of a close call with the mount on the drop salmon ladder, but Joey gets the safe jump nicely. Joey now eyeing down that drop. He goes for the same technique as Atlantic, but he's going to get the safe jump on that 6th bar. And now for the double compressor, Joey Davis going into the first compressor. Looking into the second one. He gets it. Joey ties it up as he enters the hanging hoops. And he gets through it unlike Atlantic champ. On to the first hoop. Joey going for the second one. He does not get a jump. And Joey Davis also goes out on the hanging hoops. And now Atlantic champ nearing the end of the rolling dice. Going for an early dismount. And he gets the first point on stage 3. Now eyeing down the swing edge. Our competitors had a few close calls here earlier in the Guardian Cup. Let's see if Atlantic can make it through more smoothly. Yes, he can. Atlantic on out to the curtain clean Kai. Got 5 corner jumps to make it through. He's taken a lot of safe jumps going to that first one. Maybe he was a little worried that the wall was going to push him out. I don't know. Anyways, Atlantic champ. Nicely for the third one. Fourth one. He is going to spring these corner jumps, unlike the jumps on the salmon ladder. But the Atlantic champ, his strategy works as he moves on to the lunatic cliffhanger. This is an obstacle Atlantic champ has failed a lot of times. I want to say 5 times, but I could be wrong. Anyways, Atlantic champ, can he get through it today? No, he cannot. He slips off the 3rd ledge. And now Joey Davis has to make it that far to tie it up. And if Joey can beat the lunatic cliffhanger, he will punch his ticket to the semifinals. Joey quickly through the swing edge and onto the curtain clean Kai. Got the 5 corner jumps. Can Joey make it through them all? He's also going to spring jump these corner jumps. Who does not get a spring for that second one, but still makes it across. Third one. Fourth one. Final one. Gets springs for the rest of them. Joey Davis tying it up for the lunatic cliffhanger. If Joey can make it through this, he will win. He fails to spring jump, and we will be going to the tiebreaker. Whoever can make it to the top and hit the fusion coil first will win. Their run begins once I snipe this fusion coil on the bottom. Who will make it up first? There's the fusion coil, and they're off. There are 20 pegs here on the spider climb. Joey with a slight lead going into the 7th one. Atlantic picking up the pace going into the 11th one. Atlantic falls off to the bottom. He is nowhere to be seen. Joey Davis, as long as he does not make any mistakes, he will win. Atlantic can keep going if he does fall off, but it's too late for Atlantic. Joey Davis wins the tiebreaker and moves on to the semifinals. And with Joey's tiebreaker victory, that brings an end to the quarterfinals. we are down to the final 4 Spartans as we get set for the semifinals. Super Ninja J2 will face Pedro Man, and Fireball will face Joey Davis. Who will survive the final 2 tournaments before the head-to-head race on the final stage tower? It is now time to start the semifinals. We're coming down to the wire here with 4 Spartans standing. The first semifinal match we'll see will be Super Ninja J going up against Pedro Man on Tournament 2. A much easier stage, but it's going to be very important that our competitors do not make a simple mistake here on these easier obstacles. Pedro Man with 8 points up for grabs here on Stage 1 of Tournament 2. Through the quintuple steps and jumping through the spinning log. Now for the pallet bridge, he is going to skip the second pallet as he eyes down the butterfly wall. Pedro Man through and onto the dancing stones. These were soccer balls because 343 messed up the physics of the rocks in an update, so I had to change them to soccer balls, so that was pretty unfortunate. But right now, Pedro Man is making it up the jump hang and looking for the dismount. He's got it. And now Pedro Man looking into the warp wall, up it in 1. And now just needs to stick the landing here on the stairway to heaven and then make the climb up to the button for the points. Pedro Man nicely through stage 1. Very quickly through stage 1 as well. And now Super Ninja Jake with his shot. Onto the quintuple steps. 3rd step. 4th step. 5th step. Super Ninja Jake 2 onto the spinning log. A very easy obstacle. Onto the pallet bridge. He's only going to use the second pallet. And now through the butterfly wall and onto the dancing stones. He's going quickly across. Going for the last one. Jake now onto the jump hang. He's got the jump off the block. Super Ninja Jake looking up to the last one. Jake now across onto the warp wall. 3 chances here. He struggled a little bit with the warp wall earlier, but not this one. This one's shorter than all the later warp walls, so I wouldn't imagine our competitors struggling with that one. Super Ninja Jake, tie it up, going into stage 2. Another 8 points up for grabs as we enter the freezing cold mountains of this stage. Pedro Man on the spider walk. Doing a safe jump there. It's on to the next ledge. Last chance for our competitors to face the spider walk here in the Guardian Cup. Pedro Man on now to the salmon ladder. Actually, fun fact, the spider walk was in half of the Halo 5 tournaments and the jumping spider was in the other half. Fun fact. Anyways, Pedro Man onto the coil dodge is gonna walk right through him. Nicely done. On now to the metal spin. This was the tournament that introduced the metal spin. And he gets through onto the gravity road. Now, at the time of me recording this Guardian Cup commentary, the new Halo games have not been announced yet. That's supposed to be happening on Fridays, so however, I'm pretty sure the games would have been announced by time this premieres, so if the games have been announced, love to hear your thoughts in the premiere chat or the comments below. Pedro Man through the rocket bars onto the cliffhanger now. Got to jump up to the second ledge. Going down to the 3rd ledge. That drop was pretty tricky back in the day, given how much thinner that ledge is compared to the others. And now onto the domino hill. Pedro Man with just 1 obstacle left to go here on stage 2. If he can make it through this, it could be very beneficial for him for stage 3. Pedro Man taking each domino one at a time. Now into the 6th one. 7th one. Pedro Man jumps up short of the 7th domino. Tough break for him on the domino hill. The Just did not quite have enough momentum to get through that. Now Super Ninja Jake, last competitor to face a spider walk here on the Guardian Cup. Super Ninja Jake getting close to the end, and he is through onto the salmon ladder. Gonna skip ahead to the second ledge, third one, fourth, fifth, sixth, and he's up and heading towards the coil dodge. Looking into the first coil. He's gonna take his time, unlike Pedro Man. Gonna make sure that he gets through each of these coils. And Jake will make it through and onto the metal spin. Eyeing down the jump. Jake gets it nicely. 12 points. And we're gonna skip ahead to the domino hill where he has tied it up. But yeah. He is on to the fifth one. He's going a little quicker than Pedro Man. But now for the domino that Pedro just failed. He gets it, but he needs to get through the rest of this obstacle to get the point. He's getting close to the end of the green section. Eyeing down the yellow section now. On the 11th of 20 dominoes. 12, he's going to pick up the pace here on the yellow section. And he continues that pace into the red section. Going very quickly through this domino hill. Just needs to dismount. Makes it across. And he takes the lead going into stage 3. Could this be the run that punches his ticket onto the finals? We'll have to see how Pedro Man does here on the third stage with this mongoose. Through the Knievel jump and onto the sweeping corner. Pedro Man through the Knievel jump and the sweeping corner. Just needs to get across onto the platform to get the point. There you go. And now for the Octagon Bridge. Always a tricky obstacle. We saw Eternal Flame fail it earlier in the Guardian Cup. And Pedro Man almost falls off the mongoose right there. That could have been a disaster, but it looks like he's taking a much different approach. He's taking a backwards approach. Is it going to pay off for Pedro Man? It's looking good so far. And he is through onto the vehicle ramps. Going quickly into the first one. Gonna take his time lining up for that second ramp. This is a pretty tough version of the vehicle ramps. You gotta get your mongoose in just the right spot to make it across. Almost comes up short, but it's just got enough speed to make it up. Now for the final ramp. This one is the toughest. Can Pedro Man get through these tricky vehicle ramps? Taking his time for the third ramp. He goes for it. Pedro Man is across and onto Tornado Alley. Got 5 corners he's got to make it through. Gets the first corner. Now eyeing down the second corner into the third block. In his time, lining it up. Through the second one. Onto the third corner. Fourth corner onto the fifth block. He's lining it up now. Pedro Man. He's through. And now for the Heartbreak Hill. Can he get up this warp wall style obstacle? He's up. Oh, no, he's not. He has not made it up. He's stuck on the track. He's stuck. He cannot continue. Oh, no. Pedro Man will not get the points for the Heartbreak Hill. His all 4 wheels did not touch down on the platform. It fell into the crack, and he was unable to continue. He is out on the Heartbreak Hill. And Pedro Man punching his mongoose. Oh, tough break for him on the Heartbreak Hill. And now his fate here in the Guardian Cup is now out of his control. He has to hope that Super Ninja J2 does worse than him. And now here is Super Ninja J2 onto the vehicle ramps. If he can make it through this, he will force the tiebreaker. And if he can make it through the Tornado Alley, he will punch his ticket to the final. The bottom-seeded competitor going into the Guardian Cup. He got the bottom seed because he missed 2 tournaments on Infinite. And now, could he be punching his ticket to the final round? He's through the vehicle ramps. He has at least forced the tiebreaker. And if he could just make it through these corners, he will be punching his ticket to the finals. Got 2 corners left to go. Super Ninja J2 looking super strong here in the Guardian Cup. Last corner, just needs to make it across, and there it is. Super Ninja J2 is moving on to the finals. Oh, he also fails Heartbreak Hill, but it doesn't matter now. He's already moved on to the finals. Well done to Jake. And now, the final match before the final round. We have Fireball versus Joey Davis, 2 of Halo Jumping's best competitors going up against each other on Tournament 6. Fireball, here he goes. 10 points up for grabs here on Stage 1. It is very crucial that our competitors get far here on this Stage 1 with so many points up for grabs. Fireball through the altering steps and onto the log grip. Gets onto the second log. And now for the pole maze. It has a different pattern than the Tournament 5 pole maze. And he gets into the first one. He has to go to the left. And then here in the middle, he has to go to the right. Go all the way to the end. Over to the left. Another one. And then a right turn to dismount. Fireball through the pole maze. And now for the jumping spider. The last time we'll be seeing it here in the Guardian Cup. Fireball. It's a good jump into that first one. That is a very tough bouncer jump. Fireball onto the 4th ledge. 5th ledge. Nicely done as he approaches the half pipe attack. Fireball gets into the main cannon nicely. Just needs to dismount. Smokey failed that dismount in Tournament 6. A very unfortunate fail. But Fireball makes it through the reverse fly and on to the Great Wall. 3 chances to make it up. Fireball on the rope and it's up in 1. Now for the flying chute. This was the obstacle he failed in the actual tournament. He goes for it. Fireball gets a nice safe jump on the flying chute. And he is across onto the ghost ramp. He beat this obstacle earlier in the Guardian Cup. Can he do it again? Fireball jumps out early! The ghost makes it across, but Fireball does not! Fireball has failed the ghost ramp again! Oh no, the memes are all about to come back. I feel so bad for what's about to happen to Fireball in the jumping community. Oh dear me. But can Joey Davis capitalize on that major blunder? Joey on the jumping spider, looking pretty good here on this obstacle. And he is through. On now to the half pipe attack. Joey Davis into the man cannon as he's halfway through the first stage. Gets dismount. Now for the reverse fly. Can he get this jump? Joey Davis. Yes, he can. On now to the Great Wall. 3 chances at this. He has struggled with the warp wall all Guardian Cup long. He does not make it up in 1. Joey Davis, second attempt. No good. Final chance for Joey Davis here on the Great Wall. Can he get onto the rope? Ooh, just a little pushed out by the rope, but he makes it up. And now for the flying chute. Can he make it? Yes, he can. It's much further out in this tournament than it is on the other tournaments. And now Joey Davis with a chance to clear stage 1. Can he make it through the ghost ramp? And Joey is across with a pile of ghosts at the end there. Someone's sleeping with the Spartan laser. But anyways, Joey Davis. He is up. And there's Fireball at the end. He's already failed the ghost ramp, so he's not getting any additional points. But Joey Davis gets all 10 points, and the 2 are brawling it out here at the finish line. Joey Davis with a lead going into stage 2. And now, Fireball. There he goes. Onto the tilting slider. Through the first head slide nicely. Onto the second slider. Gets the speed necessary. Fireball. On now to the double salmon ladder. Fireball. To the first ledge. Second. Third. Fourth. Fireball. Goes across to the 5th ledge. Gets a safe jump. Gets a spring into the 6th ledge. 7th. 8th. He is up and onto the unstable bridge. Going for the second one. He's got it. Fireball takes back the lead as he enters the net bridge. Onto the second circle, third one, and he's through the net bridge onto the curtain clean. He failed this earlier in the Guardian Cup. Fireball fails it again. Only a 2-point lead. Joey has a chance to take it back here on the second stage. Joey nicely for the tilting slider. Now for the double salmon ladder. Running his way down as he gets into the first ledge. It's ready for it anyways. All right, he's on it now. Second ledge, third, fourth. The final time we'll be seeing this salmon ladder here in the Guardian Cup. Now Joey Davis up the double salmon ladder. He's onto the unstable bridge. He will take back the lead as he enters the net bridge. Fireball shooting Joey. That's not very ethical. Fireball. It can actually mess you up if you get shot. It can cut your sprint off. But Joey Davis also fails their curtain clean, and he's only going to keep a 2-point lead going into stage 3. Fireball up first on the rope junction. This is the first time we actually get to see this stage 3 attempted in anything, as this tournament ended on stage 2. It ended on the curtain clean in the actual tournament. Fireball. Nicely through the rope junction. Now for the cycle road. He has to make it through this to keep himself alive. Fireball. Into the second cycle. This is a big obstacle. A big moment for Fireball here on the third stage. He needs to make sure he makes it through. Fourth cycle. Going for that last corner jump. He's got it. Onto the body drop. He beat it earlier. Can he do it again? Second window. Third window. Fourth window. He's got the dismount. And onto the ultimate cliffhanger. Fireball with the lead once again. Up to the second ledge. This is very similar to the Tournament 5 one, except it's now got the glass walls to prevent yourself getting bounced by the wall. But now Fireball through the ultimate cliffhanger and onto the jumping bars. We just saw him fail it earlier. Can he get through it this time? Fireball loses his sprint, and he's not able to make it onto the second bar. Makes it slightly further, but it's not good enough to get through the jumping bars. And now Joey Davis has got to make it through the cycle road to tie it. And if he can beat the body drop, he will face Super Ninja Jake on the final tower. Joey Davis through the rope junction on out to the cycle road. This is a big make or break obstacle for Joey. It's not the toughest obstacle, but it comes down to not being able to make it through without any simple mistakes. Joey on the fourth one. And he's up, and he has tied it. If he can make these drops, he'll move on to the final. He's on to the third one. Fourth one, Joey Davis. He's made it. Joey Davis has advanced to the finals of the Guardian Cup. And Fireball shooting Joey again, but Joey has already won the match. Well done, Joey. And that will bring an end to the semifinals. 24 Spartans entered the Guardian Cup, and now we have narrowed it down to the final 2. The bottom-seeded competitor Super Ninja J2 is still standing, and he'll be going up against the second-seeded Joey Davis. Only one of these Spartans can be crowned champion of the Guardian Cup and earn number 100 for the next Spartan Sasuke tournament. So, without further ado, let the final battle commence. Our two competitors have arrived in the stormy city of Eden, the site of the final showdown. A massive head-to-head final stage tower stands in front of our finalists, which only rewards the fastest climber with victory. Jake and Joey will face 3 obstacles: the 8 cubes of the cubicle climb, the 13 bars of the salmon ladder, and the 16 ledges of the giant tunnel. There's no time limit, and if someone falls off, they must keep going until one man reaches the top. Who will win the Guardian Cup? Will it be Super Ninja Jake 2 from the United Kingdom? Or will it be Joey Davis from the United States? Let's have a word from our two finalists.
Surprised? Probably a good word to sum it up, but I mean, I'm just flipping happy to be here. So, looking at the tower right now, I think, obviously I've seen a lot of people try this before on Halo 5, but never really had any practice myself, so it's all going to be quite new to me with a lot of these technical jumps and try and go as fast as possible. But hey, if I pull this off, it'll be, I don't want to say miracle, but it'll be close to it.
Coming back to Halo 5, it felt good to be able to jump on this game again. However, I have lost like 90% of my skill on this game. I kind of forgot how to play a little bit. Was able to somehow get to this point, and now we are here with the final tower, which I have faced before in Spartan Sasuke 21. Hopefully I can be quick enough this time and maybe not lose by 3/4 of a second. Jake's done very well. I know he's put in the work, I guess, and he's beaten more difficult opponents than I've beaten in my round so far. So best of luck to him, and we'll see how it goes.
We have come a long way here in the Guardian Cup, but all good things must come to an end as Super Ninja Jake 2 and Joey Davis prepare for the final showdown. 24 Spartans entered the Guardian Cup. 22 of them have failed to reach the big tower. And now, it is just Super Ninja Jake 2 and Joey Davis still standing. Only one of these two men can be crowned champion. Whoever makes it to the top first will win. If our competitors fall off, they must keep going. The race will only end once someone reaches the top. And there's the crowd watching on as they cheer on our two competitors. The race begins once the Northfang sniper hits the fusion coil. There's 2. There's 3! The time started! There they go on the second cube. Third cube, they both slip off at the same time, but Joey gets a safe jump, so he's slightly further ahead. Joey with another slip. Jake with the lead as he approaches the top. He hits the pole. That's going to cost him some time. On the 8th one. Now for the salmon ladder. Jake overshoots the first bar, but Joey makes it. He's really struggling with this first bar here on the salmon ladder. Joey is eventually able to keep going. And Super Ninja Jake 2 nowhere to be seen. Joey Davis with a massive lead. Now he just has to make sure he does not make a mistake here on the giant tunnel. As long as he can make it up, he will win the Guardian Cup. He's getting very close. Final cycle for Joey Davis. 15th ledge, 16th. Joey Davis wins the Guardian Cup. Joey Davis, Cup champion. He makes it to the top in 53.7 seconds. Well done, Joey Davis. He will be number 100 in Spartan Sasuke 28. And a good job to Super Ninja Jake 2 for making it this far. He does eventually make it up to the top. But it was a rough start for both of our competitors. Both of them missed the third cube initially, but Joey gets that safe jump on that first cube. But for Jake on the salmon ladder, that's when disaster struck. He did the same thing Atlantic did in Tournament 19 of Spartan Sasuke by overshooting that first bar. And Joey Davis, a lot of safe jumps needed to get onto that first bar. But once he did get up, it was smooth sailing from there. And now let's hear from our Guardian Cup champion.
That final run, it kind of took me a while to get my footing. I haven't done the tower in this game in forever, so first obstacle I struggled with, beginning of the sand ladder struggled with, but about halfway up I got into a rhythm. Felt good about that. Definitely timed out in the actual tournament again. But you know what? we got here number 100. I mean, numbers don't really matter. It's how you do in the tournament anyway. But I'm glad I won. Glad to compete on Halo 5. Jake did very well getting this far, and let's see how we can do in Spartan Sasuke.
And thus, we have come to the end of the Guardian Cup. 24 Spartans accepted the call to compete here on the 10th anniversary of Halo 5. The Guardian Cup had it all, with seasoned veterans returning for one final go on the old game, newer competitors leaving their mark, surprising upsets, and at the end of it all, a champion was crowned. Joey Davis will enter Tournament 28 of Spartan Sasuke with number 100 in the run order. I want to thank everyone who competed here in the Guardian Cup and those who came in to spectate their favorite competitors. This special competition has been in the planning phase for several years, and I want to thank you all for making this a reality. But that's going to do it for now. I'm RPG445, and we'll see you soon for Spartan Sasuke 28. Farewell, everyone.